Hey guys, tonight we're diving into a world where stars aren't just pretty dots, they're ancient survival tools. You're standing on a creaking Basque fishing boat somewhere off the coast of St. Jean-de-Luz, salt crusting your lips and wind knotting your hair. The Milky Way sprawls overhead like a spilled diamond necklace. And yeah, you'll need to learn fast. Ocean navigation by starlight isn't exactly covered in your smartphone's user manual. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. Let's see who's braving this voyage from the absolute wrong time zone. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. The deck tilts under your boots as the Basque sailor steps into view. A man carved from driftwood and stubbornness. His face maps decades of squinting at horizons, nose like a compass needle, pointing northwest. You catch the sharp tang of anise on his breath, local spirits, and older vices. You want to read the sky. He grunts, voice rasping like rope on wet wood. Then stop looking up. Confused, you follow his gaze downward, waves phosphorescent under starlight. He slaps the gunwale, wood groaning in protest. Boats lie. Water lies. Even your bones lie after weeks at sea. His calloused finger stabs the air, aiming at Polaris, steady above the mast. That is truth. Everything else. He spits overboard the glob swallowed by black water. You learn fast. By 1492, Basque whalers were navigating these waters using star declination tables, centuries before formal celestial navigation spread across Europe. Our sailor scoffs at Columbus's discoveries, muttering about cod fishermen who reached Newfoundland long before the Genovese show off. Historians still argue whether those fishermen left carvings on North American cliffs, or just a lot of very confused fish guts. His lesson isn't gentle. When you mix up Cassiopeia and Cepheus, he flicks your earlobe hard. Wrong queen. Wrong story. The constellations become a brutal quiz, each star a bead on some cosmic abacus. You memorize that Vega means falling eagle in medieval Arabic star charts, though our sailor insists it's actually the lost nail of a Basque fishing god. Cold seeps through your jacket. Night smells shift, brine giving way to petrichor from unseen land. He nods at your shivering. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. A shooting star scars the sky. You start to wish, then freeze as his hand clamps your wrist. Never beg the sky for favors. It collects debts. His thumbnail traces a faint scar curling up his forearm, pale against weather-beaten skin. Learned that chasing Greenland whales under the midnight sun. The boat rocks, your stomach lurches. He grabs a wooden bucket without looking. Eyes on the horizon. Steady your breathing. You obey, counting inhalations between waves. 3 seconds in, 4 out. The rhythm syncs with his graveled voice, explaining lunar tides, how tonight's waning moon means gentler currents, but never trust gentle, he adds. The sea's a flirt, all soft whispers before she drowns you. Dawn lurks somewhere beyond Spain. Your naming keystone stars in Hercules when he freezes, head cocked like a seabird sensing storm. The hairs on your neck rise before your ears catch it, a low thrumming through the hull. Engineers, he sneers, spitting the word like rotten bait. Think their metal worms know the deep. The vibration grows, a cruise ship's lights blooming on the horizon. He snuffs the lantern, plunging you into primal dark. Stay silent. They'll steal your shadows. You press against cold wood as the leviathan glides past, party music muffled by distance. Its wake rocks the boat violently, yet his hand steadies yours on the tiller. Modern men, he whispers contempt warmer than the night air. They navigate dinner reservations, not stars. First light stains the east, the sailor abruptly stands. We're done. His boot heels click across decking worn smooth by generations. You protest. There's so much left to learn. He turns, eyes reflecting the dying stars. You'll forget the names, the charts, the rules. What sticks? A wave slaps the hull for emphasis. That's the real lesson. The Basque's calloused finger splits the sky, a blade pointing north. That one's Polaris, lowest star in Ursa Minor's tail, he says. Salt crusts his nails. You squint, the star pulses like a metronome stuck on steady. He watches you scan the sprawl above, used it since the Greeks first pissed in the Mediterranean. 13th century traders called it the stairless ladder climate, and God might hear your prayers. His pipe embers wink in agreement. You brace against the boat's gentle sway. The sea mirrors the sky, both endless, both hungry. Find Polaris, and you'll never drown, he growls. A lie you've heard of ships that stargazed straight into reefs. But his certainty feels warmer than the wool blanket around your shoulders. He pulls a brass sextant from his coat, its edges worn smooth by generations of thumbs. 98% of medieval sailors couldn't read, he admits. They memorized star patterns as rhymes. Ever heard Orion's belt 3 steps from hell? A wave slaps the hull. You flinch, he doesn't. In 756 AD, a Greek captain drew the first Polaris map on a sheep's bladder. Lasted 3 storms before the ink ran. His laugh sounds like gravel in a tin cup. You trace imaginary lines between stars, connecting dots into a child's stick figure version of the heavens. He corrects your wrist's angle with a nudge. The Caliphate of Cordoba paid navigators in saffron. Miss by 1 degree. They'd spice your tomb instead. Your fingers graze the sextant's eyepiece. Frosted glass bites your skin. Watch, he murmurs. The instrument becomes a third eye framing Polaris in a copper ring. Line her up with the horizon now. That's your latitude. For a heartbeat, you're both conductors, orchestrating silence. Then he ruins it. GPS steals the romance. Satellites can't tell you when a storm's brewing in your bones. A splash makes you whirl, just a night fish vaulting for flies. The Basque grins, 3 teeth missing on the left side. Relax. Leviathans don't surface till the witching hour. He spits into the black water. Ever read Pietro de Crescenzi's Almanac of Jackals and Stars? Medieval drivel about jackals howling at certain constellations. Scholars called it nonsense, till someone noticed desert foxes in Marrakesh doing exactly that. You mimic his stance, legs wide, neck cricked back. Polaris gleams like a rivet holding the sky together. Some say Phoenicians used this star before the Greeks, he adds. Found a clay tablet near Carthage, crude arrows pointing north. Historians still argue whether it's a star map or a shopping list. The boat creaks me. I think they were tracking the price of olives. He lets you hold the sextant unguided. Your arms wobble, the star swims in the lens. Steady, he chides. Polaris isn't going anywhere. 50 years from now, 5,000, it'll still outlive your grandkids' grandkids. The metal warms in your grip. You wonder how many breaths have fogged this view, how many panicked prayers. A satellite streaks through Ursa Minor tiny invader. The Basque hisses. Disrespectful little flicker. Back in my day, we navigated by stardust and stubbornness. He reclaims the sextant, polishes it on his sleeve. 93% of modern folk can't find north without a phone. Pathetic. Polaris watched dinosaurs die. It'll watch us vanish too. A chill nips your ears. The star seems brighter now, a pinprick demanding attention. The Basque lights his pipe again. Smoke curls into the constellation Draco's jaws. Whole empires have crumbled under this light. Mongol horses galloped by it. Viking longships followed it to pillage monasteries. You'll probably use it to find a decent sushi place back in port. He crouches suddenly, palms flat on the deck. Feel that. The wood thrums beneath you, a subsonic hum. Tides turning. Polaris pulls the oceans when the moon gets lazy. You press your hand beside his. Nothing. Takes decades to sense it. He shrugs. I'll be bones in a trench before you nail that trick. The boat tilts. A rogue waves parting gift. You clutch the gunwale. He stays upright, a trick of the sea's cruel humor. Overhead, Polaris holds its post. Unmoved, unimpressed. The Basque flicks his pipe ash overboard. Next lesson, how to navigate by seagull vomit. Advanced stuff. His grin flashes in the dark, a challenge masquerading as a joke. You nod, still staring upward. The star winks back, an old conspirator. The Basque squints at your star chart, then tears it in half. Orion wasn't some fancy hunter, he scoffs, just a drunk who tripped over his own bow. His knife tip traces the constellation's outline against the sky. See the 3 stars at his waist. Arab traders called them Al-Nijad, the belt, but Phoenician whores used them to measure payment. 3 stars meant triple the rate. A meteor scars the heavens. You flinch, he doesn't even blink. They're just burning rocks, he mutters, but tell that to 9th century monks who thought falling stars were angel toenails. His laugh rattles like pebbles in a shoe. You count Orion's 7 main stars. He slaps your wrist. Never tally celestial bodies aloud. Attracts night hags. Learned that off a Romanian witch in Port said. He stabs at Taurus, the bull's bloodshot, eye glowering red. Aldebaran's the angry one. Means follower in Arabic, chases the Pleiades sisters forever. Greeks said Zeus turned them into doves. Absolute garbage. My grandfather swore they were 7 Icelandic shield maidens, frozen during an unlucky sauna. The boat tilts, you grab the mast. He keeps balancing on one leg like a deranged stork. 90% of constellation. Myths got started by sleep-deprived shepherds, he proclaims. You try staring at woolly idiots for 40 years, you'll start seeing dragons in the dirt. His pipe smoke forms a tiny Big Dipper that dissipates instantly. Ever heard of the Farnese Atlas? Roman statue holding a globe with Orion depicted wrong. Historians still argue whether it's bad art or secret heresy. You point to Cassiopeia, her jagged throne etching the north. Ah, the original Karen, he sneers. Bragged about her beauty till Poseidon drowned her kingdom. Moral of the story: never trust a queen who does her own eyeliner. Waves slap the hull in agreement. Medieval nuns thought her chair was the devil's dentist tool. Burned 3 astronomers for disagreeing. A night heron croaks overhead. He freezes. That's Basque for clouds coming. And also, your mother-in-law visits at dawn. You peer at unrecognizable star clusters. He slumps in disappointment. Lyra's supposed to look like a harp. Looks more like a smashed crab to me. Chinese astronomers called it the jade rabbit's salad fork. Don't ask. Your neck aches from staring upward. He flicks your ear. Weakling. Ottoman astronomers observed eclipses for 600 years without chairs. You've lasted 6 minutes. The dipper's handle seems to drip starlight. Make up your own stories, he growls. That's what the Etruscans did. Turned Orion into a clay pot. Not my style, but bold. Clouds veil the moon, the stars sharpen into ice picks. He suddenly grips your forearm. Cetus the sea monster's rising. Means we've got maybe an hour till the wind flips. His breath smells of sardines and regret. In 1248, a storm named Cetus sunk 20 ships off Cyprus. Coincidence? The Vatican said yes. The survivors, not so much. You whisper a childhood rhyme about the Milky Way. He cackles. My turn. In Anatolia, they say the sky's a quilt stitched by a one-eyed grandmother. The constellations, her dropped needles. His hands weave an imaginary tapestry. Then he punches your bicep. Pay attention. That fuzzy patch near Andromeda. That's the phantom whelk, a constellation the Maya invented after eating bad clams. A satellite zips through Sagittarius. He lobs a cork at it. Tourists. In my day, we had proper darkness. Made the stars taste better. The boat drifts. The sail flaps like a bored ghost. Ever notice how Scorpio's tail aims at Orion's crotch? Greeks called it a feud. I call it cosmic harassment. His stories blur centuries and cultures smeared like wet watercolors. You glimpse hungry gods and drunken heroes in the static between stars. He yawns, revealing a molar stamped with tiny anchor. Time was. Sailors used Orion's sword to predict storms. If it dripped starlight, you'd drown. If it twinkled Morse code, you'd get rich. Mostly, it just gave them vertigo. Dawn bleeds on the horizon. The Basque spits toward the dying night. Myths rot faster than wood. That's why I stick to tides. But you catch him tracing Ursa Major with reverent fingers, mouthing words too soft to hear. The stars dim unimpressed by their own folklore. A petrel screeches. He stiffens. That's our cue. Next lesson: why seagulls are terrible at stand-up comedy. The punchline floats unanswered as he retreats below deck. Moonlight bleeds silver across the deck. The Basque kicks a sandglass with his boot. Time's a rope, he growls. Tides pull both ends. You watch waves rise, each carrying the moon's fingerprints. He shoves a barnacled chart into your hands. 17th century captains called this the lunisolar waltz. Fancy talk for gravity's a clingy girlfriend. His calloused thumb stabs at the parchment. See these squiggles. Moon's grip tightens, water bulges. Eases up, tides retreat, simple as a drunkard's bladder. The boat sways, your stomach churns in protest. He grins. You know why Phoenician merchants timed their piss breaks to high tide. Belief that urine flowed stronger under a full moon. Dumb, but their chamber pots were legendary. A wave slaps the hull, salt mist stings your eyes. He wipes his nose on a sleeve. Medieval monks in Brittany swore tides, turned werewolves docile, tried baptizing whole beaches at low tide. His laugh echoes across the water. Worked until the werewolves learned to swim. You squint at the chart. Inked symbols swim like startled eels. That blotch there. He taps a smudged circle. Maelstrom off Norway's coast. Swallows 30 ships a century, still hungry. Viking sagas called it Rand's dining hall. Modern idiots with GPS still get eaten. Your fingers trace cyclone markings. He slaps them away. Respect the ink. That's not cartography, that's someone's last will. Clouds swallow the moon. The Basque lights a tarred lantern. 93 AD Roman Admiral Pliny, the elder, wrote about tidal clocks. Died in Vesuvius. Ash anyway. Irony's a bitch with a PhD. You count 7 waves between breaks. He corrects you instantly. 9. Always 9. Magdalene nuns documented it during the Black Death. Said God counted in 9s while bored. He produces a rusted compass. Its needle spins wildly. Forget north. Tide charts are the real Rosetta Stone. You think Columbus found the Bahamas. Please. He followed Portuguese tide tables stolen from a drowned librarian. Waves hum beneath the keel, a submerged rhythm. Ever heard of the Charybdis sneeze? Sudden tide surges that flip islands upside down. Total myth, unless you're drunk enough. The lantern gutters, shadows leap like startled cats. He leans closer, reeking of pickled herring and lies. Cambridge archivists found a diary claiming Newton wrote Principia during a spring tide. Said the moon's pull helped his handwriting. You scoff. He pinches your earlobe. Laugh now. Copernicus mapped half his heliocentric crap using Baltic tide charts. Check the footnotes. A distant bell buoy tolls. The Basque freezes. That's C-sharp. Means the tide's turning. He yanks a rope. The sail pivots with a weary groan. Wind and water fistfight around 4 am. Smart captains nap through it. You gulp air thick with brine. He rolls his eyes. Relax. If we sink, the moon'll fish you out. It owes me. Stars smear across the sky, time unraveling. He points to the chalky lunar crescent. That's our metronome. Greeks thought it clipped Apollo's toenails. Sailors know better. It's the ocean's puppet master. A wave soaks your boots. He chuckles. My uncle timed his wedding night by tide charts. Auntie divorced him before dawn. Some rhythms you don't sync to. Your pencil hovers over the chart. He snatches it midair. No notes. Real knowledge sticks like barnacles. His knife etches something on the rail, a string of numbers. Tidal coefficient for August 13, 1592, the day the Spanish Armada learned tides don't care about royal decrees. Moonlight winks on the blade, his voice softens. Philip, the second's flagship, ran aground at 3:15 a.m., historically accurate embarrassment. A fish leaps, silver body glinting like a thrown coin. The Basque lobs a cork at it. Tide's coming. They always jump ship first. You recall a museum placard about lunar cycles. He cuts you off. Save the trivia. You know why the moon looks bigger on the horizon. Because it's judging you harder. Waves flatten suddenly, an eerie calm. He tenses. Neap tide. Ocean holding its breath. The chart rustles in your grip. He smirks. Historians still argue whether Stonehenge tracked moontides for rituals or just gave druids an excuse to party. His pipe embers glow like a micromoon. Here's the truth. Tides made civilization. No tidal clocks. No colonialism. Just a bunch of Frenchmen eating butter in caves. The first hint of dawn bleeds east, indigo dissolving into gray. He glares at the horizon. Used to track tides by lichen growth on Shanghai docks, plants don't lie unlike barometers. You yawn. He flicks a barnacle at your forehead. Sleep when the tide's generous. It's about to get stingy. Water sloshes in the bilge, a wet heartbeat. He hums a shanty about a mermaid who hated kelp. The Basque's boot taps the rhythm of retreating waves, each ebb pulling minutes into the abyss. You feel hours blur, temporal jet lag setting in. He notices. Einstein stole relativity from a Polynesian navigator. True story. Guy used tide rips as spacetime graphs. A cormorant dives, silent arrow piercing dark water. The Basque nods approval. High tide's coming. Birds always know. He rubs salt crust from his eyelashes, suddenly wistful. Full moon tides in Java can lift a coffin from its grave. Saw it once, corpse still gripping a tide chart. The boat creaks, wood complaining in its bones. Your watch beeps. He chucks it overboard without looking. Quartz crystals lie, tidal glands don't. You stare at the vacant horizon, wind stitching waves into braille. He spits. Don't bother reading it. Ocean's just repeating itself anyway. Night's grip loosens, stars retreat into the west. The Basque folds the chart, creases as old as his wrinkles. Sextants measure angles. Tide charts measure consequences. A fishing skiff glides past its captain waves. He flips the man a one-fingered salute. Tourist probably thinks El Niño's a Spanish quarterback. Dawn licks the sky pink, the last stars dissolving like sugar cubes. He grips the tiller, knuckles pale as the fading moon. Next lesson: why compasses get seasick. Waves murmur secrets as the dark surrenders, carrying his words into the salted wind. Dawn's leftovers cling to the sky as the Basque squints west. Your eyes follow his to a hazy smear of light. Liposuria, he mutters. The white neck, Milky Way for rookies. Waves slap the hull in triplets, a rhythm older than language. You ask how stars become milk, he snorts. Greeks called it Galaxia's Kyklos, milky circle. Blame Hera's spilled breast, his pipe embers flare, incense for the coming dark. Medieval nuns swore it was powdered saints' bones. Waste of good hallucinogens. The galaxy thickens overhead, a spilled salt trail across black velvet. He leans against the mast. Peel back that haze, you'll find our ancestors' campfires. Dumbasses forgot to douse them. A shooting star bleeds across Cygnus. He spits for luck. Persian astronomers mapped its swirls on camel skin. Parchment mold ate half their work, call it cosmic censorship. A wavelet licks your boot cold as comet ice. The Basque scratches his neck. Tahitians thought it's a shark god's spine. Vikings called it Ifinger, river separating worlds. My granddad said it's God Zipper. He chuckles, rum ages his breath. Ever seen the Maori version? They'll tell you it's a canoe with stardust oars. Poets and liars, same guild. You squint, constellations bleed into the haze. He flicks your ear, focus on the gaps. Navajo skywatchers saw dark clouds there, holy crows devouring wayward souls. The mast creaks, wind threading through rigging like spectral fingers. 19th century sailors believed it stored moonlight for cloudy nights. Dumb as bricks, but pretty. A satellite crawls through Virgo, he curses. Our ancestors had class. No blinking trash in their sky theater. His knife points to Sagittarius. See that blur, central bulge of the galaxy. 4 million suns squashed together, celestial mosh pit. Your neck aches. He tosses you a leather pillow. Astrophysicists say we're orbiting its edge at 500,000 mph. Feels like Tuesday. Liposuria's core glows now, pale as a faded bruise. The Basque hums a lullaby in Euskara, vowels rough as pumice. Inca roads aligned with its axis. Messenger runners used it as an arrow, no maps needed. He spits overboard. Cambridge nerds found Babylonian star tablets mentioning the White River. Historians still argue whether it's a Milky Way reference or bad goat liver readings. Clouds nibble the galactic haze, he growls. Those cumulus bastards ruined Galileo's first telescope demo. Venice thought he'd cursed the sky. A dolphin breaches starboard, bioluminescent algae streaking its back. He grunts. Even fish know to dress up for the gala. The boat turns. Liposuria now parallels the horizon. Portuguese ships followed it south, knew they'd hit land when it flipped. His thumb traces an invisible chart. Da Gama's crew sang hymns to it, as if stars care about key signatures. A warm breeze ruffles the sail. You smell ozone and wet copper. He digs a flask from his coat, black licorice stench. Sumerian priests mixed its light into opium. Called it sky seaman, don't ask. You decline the drink, he shrugs. Their temple ceiling murals. Acid trips before acid. Credit where it's due. 3 stars emerge from the haze, Albero's twin gems. The Basque scowls. Binary systems are divorced couples, stuck circling grudges. His calloused palm eclipses your view. Real navigation starts here. Old Basque shepherds used Liposuria's curve to count sheep. Stare long enough, you'll see wool constellations. A squall murmurs on the horizon. He ignores it. Ever hear of galactic ghosts? Dutch sailors swore dead captains ride star currents there. Made port after years lost, faces younger than their grandsons. Your fingers graze the rail, wood pulses with the Milky Way's heartbeat. The Basque yanks a pendant from his neck, tarnished silver-etched with star clusters. Catherine de' Medici wore this. Astrologer said it'd align her uterus with galactic tides. He scowls. She had 10 kids, so maybe Mercury was in retrograde. Liposuria dims, dawn's advance guard creeps east. He pockets the pendant. NASA's got probes sniffing its gases. Waste of tax drachmas. A wave slaps the hull, spray freezes midair for a heartbeat. Know what's out there? Sugar molecules, formaldehyde, ethanol clumps big as continents. He smirks. Entire galaxies a dive bar. Your eyelids sag. He pinches your wrist. Nap now, and you'll miss her encore. The Milky Way pivots its arc, cradling the masthead. He produces a harmonica, plays a blues scale through cupped hands. Liposuria hums in B-flat. Pythagoras proved it. Kepler buried the data. The note hangs, vibrating with the rigging's groan. Stars blur, you blink hard. Telescopes lie, he mutters. Only drunkards and dreamers see it true. A meteor, fragments above embers reflected in his wet eyes. That one's mine. Applied years ago, response times brutal. Dawn dissolves the last stars, opal hues devouring the void. The Basque spits into the wind. Show's over. Tomorrow night, Jupiter does stand up. You touch the pendant's imprint in his coat, still warm. Waves whisper what the stars couldn't, salt-crusted secrets heavy with light. Brine stings your lips as the Basque unfurls a chart. Smudged lines mimic waves, frozen mid-swell. He stabs a finger at the coastline. Phoenicians didn't need compasses. They rode star lichen. Your eyebrows lift. Night-blooming algae, he growls. Glowed under Orion's belt. made trails even moonless nights couldn't erase. Wind tousles the parchment, it crackles like old skin. They traded purple dye, worth its weight in gold. Stank like week-old squid, but royalties into that. He traces a route past Gibraltar. Their ships hugged Africa's coast, Mediterranean food trucks of the ancient world. A rogue wave slaps the hull, you grab the rail. Used the North Star before it was cool. Greeks stole their celestial homework, changed the font. The lantern sways, shadows sculpt his face into a carnival mask. Ever hear of the Beirut Navy? Not sailors, dye makers who calculated tides by Venus's blush. His chuckle rasps like hulls scraping sand. Historians still argue whether they circled Africa. Herodotus says they shipped home with the sun on their right, liar or genius. Clouds part, Ursa Major drips starlight onto the sea. The Basque snaps his fingers. Their secret weapon, bottled bioluminescence, squid ink mixed with firefly juice, ghetto GPS. You smirk, he grabs your sleeve. Laugh now worked better than Columbus's astrolabe. Something phosphorescent swirls beneath the surface, neon tendrils beckoning. Star lichen, he whispers, same stuff Phoenicians farmed. Dies in captivity, like mermaids or marriages. His knife flicks out, scoops a glowing strand. It fades in his palm. Tried selling it to Venice, burned down 3 warehouses. The boat tilts, wood groans in dolphin language. Carthage had lighthouse mirrors as tall as redwoods. Focused moonlight into search beams, forerunner of tick-tock filters. He spits overboard. Romans burned it, all jealous of their drip. Your toes curl against damp planks. How they navigate storms. He grins, teeth like weathered coral. 8 raw sea urchin. Hallucinated guiding otters, cheaper than hiring a pilot. A shooting star etches the sky, he salutes with his flask. Distilled starlight and bad decisions, their brandy made reefs weep. Thunder rumbles distant, but insistent. The Basque tightens the mainsail. They slept in hammocks lined with magnetite, woke up facing north, human compasses with hangovers. Rain pricks your neck. He tosses you a goatskin cloak. Ever seen a Phoenician anchor? Carved from volcano rock, shaped like a middle finger to Poseidon. Lightning silhouettes a tanker on the horizon. Modern sailors got no flair. Phoenician figureheads had working fountains, spewed wine during victories. Ocean nightmares. He kicks a coil of rope. It hisses like a deflating myth. Found one off Malta, still corked, tasted like vinegar and ancestor worship. The squall passes, stars reboot their ancient software. The Basque inhales sharply. Think they reached the Americas. Some brasselwood carvings smell like Tyrian purple coincidence or contraband. His pipe sparks. Scholars foam about it at conferences, raise blood pressure, and grant money. A triangle of pelicans glides overhead, living hieroglyphs. Best theory, they followed whale songs, leviathans headbanging to celestial playlists, nature's first tour guides. He adjusts the tiller, wood squeaks protest. Wrecks still surface sometimes. Barnacle-covered amphoras, full of squid jerky, ancient twitter beefs preserved in brine. Dawn lurks below the horizon, a voyeur peeking through keyholes. The Basque yawns. Their ghosts crew phantom ships, recruiting anyone daft enough to stare at the horizon too long. Salt crusts your eyelids. You blink through golden static. He flicks your earlobe. Sleep now, dream of con men in moth-eaten epaulets. They'll offer you discounts on Atlantis timeshares. His laughter follows you below deck, a rasp against the waves' white noise. Hammock ropes croak warnings. Somewhere above, a cormorant coughs up a silver fish, last relic of a civilization that mistook hubris for horizon. Moonlight falters, the Basque kills the lantern. Blackness swallows the boat hole. You grip the rail, wood bites your palms. Below, water thickens into ink. Something glows 30 feet down, a nova burst of teal, flares then fades. He leans over your shoulder. Phoenicians called this the belly button of the sea. Sailors who peered too close, well, their wives got sudden inheritances. A school of neon blue dots zigzags past anglerfish, spelling obscenities in Morse code. Your breath hitches. Medieval maps marked these zones. Here be coiled things, not dragons, the real stuff. Squid longer than galleons. Jellyfish that drink moonlight. The Basques pipe ember pulses. History's greatest sailors avoided deep water. Coast-hugging cowards, can't blame 'em. A ribbon of violet light spirals upward, bioluminescent plankton, imitating the Milky Way's twin. You reach, he slaps your wrist. Ever seen a gulper eel's jaws? Like umbrellas opening inside out. Dislocated shoulders taste best. The glow intensifies, pulsing to a rhythm older than tides. 19th century whalers wrote about lights that followed ships for months. Thought it was St. Elmo's fire's creepy cousin. He spits. The saliva winks blue before vanishing. Turns out it's a shrimp. Krill with drama. Your knees lock, deck boards hum beneath your soles. The Basque grunts. Greco-Roman divers swore the abyss whispered math problems. Prime numbers in base 12. Still find lead tablets about it. A colossal shape glides past, no outline, just absence swallowing the faint glow. The boat drifts sideways, no wind, no current. Hear that? You strain. Silence thick enough to chew. Exactly. No clicks, no splashes, no whale farts. The real monsters. Shy audiophiles. Something brushes the hull, wood creaks like a stepped-on coffin. You recoil, relax, just a siphonophore. 100-foot gelatinous zippers, harmless unless you're plankton with commitment issues. He lights a tar-coated rope. Flame reveals tentacles, retracting fast. Historian footnote. Aristotle wrote about night sharks that glowed before attacking. Scholars blame mistranslations. But spear fishermen still report blue halos around great whites. The Basque snorts. Academics deny what sailors bank on. Remind me who drowns more. A light frenzy erupts below, cyan starbursts, crimson spirals, gold tendrils. His voice drops. Cold War subs recorded depths where sonar dies. Bigger fish down there. Ones that remember walking on land. You shiver, salt crystallizes on your neck. Mariana Trenches got bacteria that live off radiation. Chernobyl sprouted legs and learned to swim. He chuckles. Dump plutonium here, you'll grow glowing supercoral. Sunset, beach times 1,000. The glow patterns sync, a Fibonacci sequence blooming in real time. Aztecs thought these were dead stars. Fell while drunk on comet wine. Now they're homesick. His calloused finger blocks your peripheral vision. Don't look directly. Enlightenment's overrated and contagious. Pressure shifts, your ears pop, the Basque freezes. Ever hear the bloop? 1997. Hydrophones picked up a sound from 3 miles down, made blue whales sound like casuists. He mops his brow. U.S. Navy said iceberg. Sure, icebergs don't giggle. A bubble plume erupts, scenting the air with rotten eggs and birthday candles. Hydrothermal vents. Underwater Yellowstone. Tube worms live there 8 feet tall, no mouths. Eat volcanoes. He grips the tiller. Chemosynthesis, kids, nature's dark kitchen. The teal nova reappears, closer now. Fish scatter like shrapnel. Your pulse thrums in your teeth. That's no shrimp. The Basque rolls up his sleeve, tattoos of sea serpents undulate in the diminished light. Portuguese sailors described these lights as Santola's lanterns. Part crab god, part disco ball. Silence reseals itself wet and heavy. He unclasps a locket, shows you Victorian-era microfilm, diver's sketch from 1883. Found off Santorini. Giant eye behind a thermal vent. Pupil shaped like a window. Your flashlight dies. He slams the casing. Don't. They're why Edison stopped diving suits. Oil tycoons bought the patents, kept the abyss quiet. The flashlight flickers back on weaker now. Amber tinted. Something rises. Not a creature, a structure. Angular and smooth, clogged with barnacles. The Basque hisses. Bermuda Triangle's uglier cousin. That's a cyclopean wall. Or a tooth. Depends who's funding your expedition. Water drains off its surface. No, retracts. Like oil avoiding rain. The Basque yanks you down as a tendril whips overhead. Bioluminescent acid scorching the mast. Dinner bell rang, time to leave. He guns the engine, doesn't matter. The boat hasn't moved. You're staring at the teal Nova's source, a radial mouth lined with spinning galaxies. Each tooth, a different era's extinction event. The Basque rams the tiller left. Oldest rule of seafaring, never look hungry at the dark. The engine screams, the mouth yawns. You black out from the beauty. Stars swim into focus, sharp as fishhooks. Salt crusts your lips. The Basque smears honey on a biscuit, hands steady despite the mast's splintered remains. Draco's up late tonight, guarding the vault. He nods at the jagged constellation overhead, a dragon drawn by a drunk cartographer. You squint. Looks like a toddler's scribble. Exactly. Humans see chaos, sailors see safety pins. Connect the dots wrong. You end up in Greenland's armpit. He flips open a ledger. Water-stained pages show star maps annotated with wine spills. 18th century navigators called Draco the celestial mousetrap. Catch a thief's soul before dawn. A meteor streaks through the dragon's tail. It's light green and sulfurous. The Basque chuckles. That's uranium. Soviet satellites used to drop reactor cores up there. Space junk with benefits. He traces Draco's spine, knuckles cracking. Louvre's got a Babylonian tablet calling this constellation the locked trunk. Inside, Pharaoh's spare crowns, Alexander's lost poems, Elvis's first demo tape. You snort, he shrugs. 1924 radio hobbyist in Cincinnati swore he heard static from Draco's heart. Morse code for dig here turned out to be a toddler playing with a telegraph. The boat creaks, wood groaning like an old librarian. He hands you a charcoal stick. Medieval Arabs charted stars as musical notes. Orion's belt. That's Middle Sea Draco's head. A sustained fart on a bassoon. You sketch jagged lines between stars. The dragon gains a comically large belly, closer than you'd think. Mongol shamans worshipped Draco as a sky snake that shed scales into gold veins. Worked until Genghis Khan died of a scales-related incident. He flicks a firefly off the ledger. Historians still argue whether Saddleheruyuk cave drawings are star maps or Bronze Age Yelp reviews. My money's on complaints about chariot traffic. A cool breeze carries the tang of burnt sugar. Dutch traders used Draco to find nutmeg islands. Miss by a degree. You'd invent Australia. He leans closer, his breath smells of anise and solder. 1967. A Draco pulsar's signals matched Apollo 11's fuel consumption. Coincidence? NASA bought 50 tons of lead shielding next month. Your charcoal snaps. The dragon loses a leg. Perfect. Now it's Draco the amputee. Guide of hobbling souls. The Basque spins a brass astrolabe. Its shadow stretches into a dagger. Roman generals timed invasions by Draco's heartbeat. 3 eclipses meant free tax week. 4. Crucify an astrologer. Satellites crawl overhead, filaments on a black loom. He points to a smudge below Draco. See that? Dark nebula. Victorian mediums claimed it sucked up unspoken apologies. Sailors with grudges paid them to post letters. You sigh. Sounds like a scam. Best kind. Guilt's the original renewable resource. He tosses a cracked compass into the sea. It floats despite the weight. KGB trained cosmonauts to navigate by Draco during radio blackouts. First lesson: don't mention the voices. The constellation blurs, clouds drifting like laundered secrets. Ever hear of the Warsaw Star Auction? 1989. Communist Party sold useless star charts to tourists. Real ones hid in piano benches. He wipes charcoal dust onto his pants. They're still finding them in uprights. Piano tuners make great spies. A bat swoops low, wingtip skimming the ledger. Carnegie tried to build a Draco-themed observatory in Pittsburgh. Workers kept accidentally welding constellations wrong. Union thing. The Basque licks his thumb, smudges Andromeda into existence beside your crippled dragon. Always pair them. She stole his gold teeth. Or was it the other way? Marriage metaphors write themselves. Dawn threatens, stars retreating into velvet sleeves. He tucks the ledger under his seat. Remember those Cold War subs? Their maps matched 13th century Persian star guides, typos, and all. Copy-paste is older than you think. Draco fades, his treasure vault locked until twilight. The Basque lights a cigarette, flame reflecting in his pupils like coiled dragons. Funny, yeah. We encode our fears into sky patterns. Tomorrow's sailors'll do the same with satellite junk. GPS, just another constellation with daddy issues. You pocket the snapped charcoal, its edge still sharp enough to draw blood or dreams. Waves slap the hull, whispering, "So what's your constellation?" The Basque exhales smoke rings that mimic Draco's tail, guardian of vaults, collector of fragments, eternal sketch in God's doodle pad. Your hand moves on its own, redrawing the stars into a lopsided heart. The shearwater's cry splits the dark, a rusty hinge swinging in wind. You freeze, halfway through redrawing Orion's belt as a question mark. The Basque stills his cigarette, ember the only motion. "That's not a hello," he mutters, more like a batten down the rum. 3 more screeches stitch the night, each higher, tighter. He tilts his head, translating. Northeast squall. 3 hours out. Maybe 4 if the moon bribes the clouds. You squint at the calm seas, horizon smooth as poured mercury. He snorts. Birds know the wind's secrets before the wind knows. Phoenicians followed cormorants to safe harbors, feathers better than any compass. A feather drifts onto the deck, obsidian with a white tip. The Basque twirls it. 1832. A sailor shipwrecked near Java survived by mimicking booby bird calls. Got rescued by confused ornithologists. His laugh rasps like sand on wood. They still teach that trick at the BREMEN, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, emphasis on don't try this. The bird glides lower, a silhouette sharp enough to cut silk. Their grammar's all verbs, no nouns, just dive and turn and flee. Saves time. His calloused finger traces the feather's spine. During WWI, U-boats kept caged shearwaters on deck. Birds got nervous before sonar pinged. Better than radar, and you could taxidermy them later. You flinch. That's dark. That's practicality. Ever seen a depth charge up close? Makes chicken salad out of chickens. He tucks the feather behind your ear, it tickles. 1964. Soviets trained owls to peck submarine coordinates on maps. Worked great until the owls unionized. Wind riffles the ledger pages, star charts fluttering like trapped moths. The Basque slams it shut. Historians still argue whether the Nazca lines are bird migration maps or giant airport signs for deities. I've seen dumber landing strips. The shearwater shrieks again, a serrated sound. He nods. Change of plans. Squalls bringing friends, maybe a waterspout or two. Help me lower the jib before the sky throws a tantrum. You fumble with salt-stiffened ropes. He guides your hands, knots looping into gull's foot hitches. Remember, every storm's a postcard from someone you wronged. Read it fast. Clouds swallow stars, the air thickens with unshed rain. The Basque lights a hurricane lamp, its glow painting his face a sickly orange. This bird's ancestors warned Columbus about hurricanes. He ignored them. Ever seen a Genoese accent float? Tragicomic. Thunder growls, distant but hungry. The shearwater vanishes into the black. You taste ozone sharp as licking a battery. The Basque adjusts the tiller, veering east. They've been squawking the same warnings since Pangea split. Breakups messy, ask any albatross. Rain arrives, needles stitching sea to sky. The boat heaves, a drunk ballerina. You grip the gunwale, knuckles bleaching white. The Basque shouts over the roar. 9-week-old chicks navigate 6,000 miles alone. Humans, we get lost in target. A wave slaps the deck, cold shock razoring through your shirt. He grins, teeth glinting. 1783, Ben Franklin mapped the Gulf Stream using sea wisdom from storm petrels. Then he invented bifocals to read their footnotes. Lightning forks, a photo negative of the night. In the afterimage, the shearwater reappears riding the storm's spine. There's your teacher. The Basque coughs. Note the wing angle, 30 degrees means stop crying and bail. You reach for a bucket, waves already knee-high. He scoops water-faster muscles, remembering younger tempests. Last chance, ask the bird a question. You scream into the dark, words shredded by wind. The shearwater banks west, a single, sharp call. It says, buy better shoes. The Basque translates, or your mother swims with manatees. Dialect's tricky. The squall passes, sudden as a slammed door. Stars drip back into place, dimmed by residual spite. The Basque wrings seawater from his beard. Every language's just borrowed sounds. Birds stole wave hiss. We stole bird screeches. Shakespeare, fancy parrot. Moonlight reveals the shearwater perched on the bow, preening like a diner critique. The Basque tosses it a sardine. They've got regional dialects. Baltic ones mock Mediterranean accents. Think it's pretentious. You shiver, clothes clinging like desperate hands. The bird eyes you head cocked. Careful, the Basque whispers. They remember faces. Cross one. You'll spend eternity as a suspicious barnacle. The shearwater takes off, wing beats counting the seconds, until dawn. Salt crystallizes on the deck, 1,000 tiny compasses pointing nowhere. You swallow, throat raw from swallowed screams. The Basque pats your shoulder. Next time, try screaming in Dutch. Birds respect formality. Your voice creaks. What if they don't answer? Then you're the question. He flicks a barnacle off the rail. 1911, a lighthouse keeper in Maine taught turns Morse code. They started blinking insults to passing ships. Progress. A feather drifts into your palm, slight as a mist warning. Somewhere ahead or behind the shearwater laughs its jagged laugh. You pocket the feather, its edge sharper than reason. The Basque hums a shanty, notes tuned to the retreating storm's growl. Stars tremble, rinsed clean by rain. The night stretches, a corrected exam. You whisper the first verb that comes to mind, listen. The Basque arches an eyebrow at your whispered listen, as if you've quoted bad poetry. He digs into his coat, salt crust flaking like dried skin, and produces a dented flask. Hydrate or dihydrate, it's heavier than it looks, the metal pitted by decades of thumbnails. You unscrew the cap, brine and licorice punch your sinuses. 16th century Spanish sailors carried anise liqueur to mask rotten water, he says, turned dysentery into a breath mint. The first sip burns, then melts into a cold sweep like licking a frozen battery. Your tongue buzzes, metallic, electric, tastes like lightning. Close. He leans against the mast, wood groaning in agreement. 1954. A fisherman near Newfoundland dredged up a meteorite chunk, brewed it into vodka, said it gave him comet visions. Lasted till the IRS seized his still. You take another swig this time. The aftertaste blooms, salt-crusted oranges, and something ionized. Waves slap the hull, syncopated applause. The Basque smirks. They added powdered silver to old navigators' grog, made their piss sparkle. True story. A shooting star scars the sky, you track its fade. Heard of the Tunguska blast? 1908. You nod. The flattened Siberian forest flickers in memory. A Dutch trader claimed his gin bottle survived the explosion, sold meteor mojitos in Batavia, died rich and liverless. The flask warms in your grip, a live thing. Historians still argue whether Magellan's crew drank mercury-based elixirs or just really good rum. Me, I've seen enough Quicksilver madness to vote yes. Your fingertips tingle, matching the Pleiades' pulse overhead. The Basque plucks the flask back, takes a gulp that defies throat physics. Met a guy in Marrakesh who aged rum in iron meteorites. Said it absorbed cosmic loneliness, charged extra for existential refills. Moonlight glazes his stubble, frost on a bone. 1986. A Parisian chef served Halley's Comet dust as Foy's Gras garnish. Michelin gave him a star. The health department gave him a funeral. Wind flips your collar, a cold hand. He recaps the flask, the click final as a coffin lid. Ever wonder why sailors choose star anise? Stops scurvy? No. Hides the taste of desperation. Always. A wave hiccups over the rail, spray freckles your cheek. You catch a drop on your tongue, salty, but different. This morning's rain carried Saharan dust, 8 million tons a year. Drink enough, you'll shit a desert. He laughs sharp as a harpoon. 2002, NASA found ocean plankton in meteorite fractures. Either space is wetter than we thought, or some asteroids rocking a killer aquarium. The flask weighs less now, emptiness humming. You stare at its etchings, faded constellations, and a name, Aurelio. The Basque follows your gaze. Uncle. Dived for sunken amphory off Crete. Died of mermaid lung poetic autopsy for silicosis. Your toes go numb, deck frostbite via starlight. He kicks a coil of rope. It unspools towards Sirius. 1799, chemists thought shooting stars were atmospheric whiskey distillation. Called it sky beer. Progress demands bad hypotheses. A satellite blinks past a drunk firefly. You point, the Basque scowls. Trash. Back in my day, stars stayed put. Now they've got AT and T plans. The anise lingers, ghost fingers down your throat. You imagine meteors dissolving in your gut iron and nickel threading your blood. The Basque yawns, jaw cracking like glacial ice. Mull wine's got nothing on cosmic hooch. Vatican's still salty. They didn't trademark Eucharist meteor wine. Dawn licks the horizon pale as a lizard's belly. He pockets the flask, its absence sudden as a phantom limb. Rule 1, never trust a sober astronomer. Rule 2, never trust a drunk one. Especially after cheap tequila, your breath fogs, half-moon shapes that evaporate too fast. The Basque squints at the lightning east. 1812, the great meteor procession. Thousands saw fireballs marching like drunk soldiers, made every church bell ring. Coincidence, God's hangover, you pick. Something vibrates in your pocket, the shearwater's feather. Its edge pricks your thumb, a bead of blood swells, black in the half-light. The Basque nods. Good. Now you're seasoned. The Basque wipes your bloodied thumb across an aged sextant, bronze, tarnished to the color of dried figs. Equinoxes, he growls, spitting the word like a peach pit. Only twice a year the sun bullied time into playing fair. His finger stabs the horizon, east bleeding into west. Tomorrow's dawn'll rise exactly cardinal. Archaeologists found a Greek gadget called the Antikythera. Gears predicting eclipses, like a pocket philosopher. 2,000 years later, we're still stealing its homework. You squint at the sextant's markings, faint etchings of scorpions and scales. He spins the index arm, a tired clockmaker. Star paths bend with seasons, same way your spine sags after 30 years of hauling nets. Spring equinox. Celestial reset button. A wave slaps the hull, the boat shivers. 1843. A whaler captain balanced an egg on its end during equinox. Newspapers called it astronomical witchcraft. Idiots tried it with pumpkins next year. Your laugh startles a nearby shearwater. It flees into the Milky Way's haze. The Basque scowls. Coincidence. Same suckers think Mercury retrograde crashes their Wi-Fi. Though 1987 Tokyo's stock market crashed during Libra season, you decide. He forces the sextant into your hands. Cold metal leaching wrist heat. Line up Polaris with the horizon. No, tilt it like you're juicing a moonrock. Historians still argue whether Stonehenge was a calendar or just Druid performance art. Stars blur as you fumble the lens. Mary Anning, he mutters, old term for guessing latitude with your pants down. Don't ask. The sextant slips, you catch it midair. He nods approval. 50-50 odds the Norse used frozen cod livers as compasses. Sounds fake, smells faker. A satellite winks overhead, outsider at the celestial ball. The Basque flips it a middle finger. Equinox means balance. Lies. Tried standing a beer can upright yesterday. Exactly. Universe loves a tilted bastard. Your elbows bump instrument wobbling. He steadies your grip, calluses like tree bark. 93 million miles to the sun. Give or take a hangover. Eclipse coming moons about to photobomb the solar system's family portrait. Salt crust cracks on his jacket as he leans closer. Ever hear of the harvest moon squeeze? 18th century farmers swore equinox do fermented faster. Made their cider 80 proof. Truth. Probably just drunk on deadlines. The mast creaks a wooden yawn. You finally align stars in the viewfinder, Ursa Major's paw tickling the lens. Good enough. Babylonian accountants invented the zodiac to schedule taxes. Priests stole it, added dragons and drama. Same old song. He reclaims the sextant, tucks it into a oilskin pouch. Remember, clocks lie. Tide tables lie. Even GPS lies after 3 tequila shots. But equinoxes. A meteor streaks south. He points with his chin. Nature's boss fight. Level playing field with spikes. Your knees ache from kneeling. Deck boards tattooing temporary checkers on your skin. The Basque produces a walnut-sized compass, needle quivering like a drunk moth. 1865. A geomagnetic storm made these things spin like ballet rejects. Telegraph offices caught fire. Progress. Waves hum as you study the tiny orb, its needle now steady. Equinoxes aren't balance. There he searches the sky, tongue poking his cheek. The universe's way of reminding us it's still the landlord. Pay rent in starlight or get evicted. Dawn's first blade slices the horizon, thin and mean. The Basque shades his eyes, sighs. 1600 years ago, someone in Alexandria's library sneezed on a scroll about solstices. Now we've got daylight savings. Some legacies suck. The compass warms in your palm, a pebble-sized sun. He plucks it back, drops it down his boot. Rule 1, never trust a equinox. Rule 2, never trust a sailor who quotes rules, especially if he's got 12 toes. Clouds congeal cotton soaked in squid ink. You count 7 pelicans gliding east, wingtips dipped in dawn's pink varnish. The Basque spits overboard, watches the current claim it. 1974. A cult tried sacrificing a sundial during equinox. Cops showed up, they'd forgotten daylight savings. Amateurs. Your shadow stretches west, a stretch taffy version of yourself. He mimics it, arms elongated into a sleepwalking scarecrow. See, even our ghosts get taller today. Doesn't mean we've grown. Just means light's a decent liar. The shearwater returns carcass of a silver fish dangling. The Basque whistles 3 sharp notes. Bird knows equinoxes mean easy fishing. Feds still won't put that on the brochures. Something buzzes the compass in his boot. A phone. Neither of you check. 3 hours till official balance. Wanna try the egg trick? He tosses you a chicken egg, speckled and warm. It breaks on impact, yolk seeping between deck boards. The Basque shrugs. There's your metaphor. Handle the universe gently. It's always raw inside. The Basque kicks, egg yolk off his boot, yellow slime catching moonlight like cheap glitter. Mirage season, he grumbles. Equinoxes juice the air till it hallucinates. You follow his gaze. Horizon shimmering like tinfoil, crinkled by a bored god. First it's a smudge, then a brigantine. Sails taut despite the windless night. Crewmen flicker aboard, translucent as jellyfish. One leans over the rail, his beard dripping seawater that never hits the waves below. The Basque's thumb digs into your collarbone. Palatine ran aground off Rhode Island in 1720. Locals burned her for firewood. Now she burns herself. Moonlight stutters through the ship's ribs, a xylophone of rot. Mary Celeste was worse, he mutters. Found drifting in 1872, ship pristine, crew gone. Newspapers said, act of God. God got framed. You count 12 specters on deck, none with faces, just fog where eyes should be. A chill pricks your neck, breath turned to ice needles. Finnish sailors swore electric fog. Did this, sky rubbing against sea like cat fur. Made phantom ports, phantom pubs, he spits. Phantom bartenders who water down the ale. The ship veers closer. You smell charred timber and lemons. A ghost child chases a hoop across the deck. It rolls through the mast. The Basque yanks you down. Don't let them clock you. Ghosts get chatty before harvest moons. Silence stretches, a rubber band about to snap. Then music. A concertina wheezes from the Palatine's whole tune, warped like a waterlogged cassette. The Basque clenches his jaw. 1907, a British steamer radioed about a luminous ship near Newfoundland. SOS signals for hours from a vessel built 5 years later. You squint, the ship's nameplate flickers between Palatine, Flying Dutchman, and SS budget rent-a-car. Historians still argue whether the Dutchman was real or just bad diplomacy. Portuguese sailors blamed it on expired saffron. The Basque digs into his coat, produces a Zippo. Flame gutters as he whispers Gaelic or maybe Klingon. The mirage wavers, edges curling like burnt film. Ghost ships are barnacles on time's hull. Scrape 'em off, you just make more. A shadow leans over the rail, top hat askew, hands full with a teacup and a musket. It toasts you, the cup's contents dribble upward into fog. The Basque snaps the lighter shut. Darkness eats the ship, mast tips dissolving first. Cold lifts, your ears pop. 1943, he says, quieter now. A destroyer saw the Dutchman off Cape Town. Radar went haywire. Captain reported interference. 6 months later, he ran a stop sign and totaled his car. Wind resurfaces, a shy guest after the party. Waves tap the hull in Morse code. You catch a final whisper, maybe the concertina, maybe your pulse. The Basque fans the air like swatting smoke. They're gone, probably off to haunt a timeshare presentation. Stars reassert themselves, Polaris doing victory laps. He flicks a barnacle off the rail. Rule 1, never answer if a ghost ship asks for Wi-Fi passwords. Rule 2, a lantern swings on your dinghy unlit, yet casting a thin yellow smear on the water. He grunts. Rule 2's negotiable. The Basque's laugh dies like a dry match struck, but never catching. He studies the lantern's glow, yellow light clawing at his face like a hungry cat. Ever chase something that ain't there no more? Star maps lie kinder than X's. You spotted then a tremor in his thumb as he points northeast, there where Cassiopeia's throne cracks. Used to be a star brighter than Venus. Called it Sugar Basque for serpent. His finger traces empty air, a child sketching erased homework. Historians still argue whether Sugar was a supernova or just wishful thinking, celestial gaslighting by stressed navigators. 1600s, our boys sailed to Newfoundland, chasing cod and whales, needed Sugar to fix positions like God's own GPS. Then poof, now we got GPS for real, still glitchier than a haunted Tamagotchi. He pulls a flask from his boot, smells like licorice and regret. Found an aisle once, bus, near Greenland. Charts had it for centuries, hunted it in 82, nothing but hysterical seagulls. Turns out the British Admiralty kept it on maps to mess with the French. Cartographic trolling. Moonlight glues itself to his wrinkles, a topographical map of bad choices. Chased Sugar 6 summers straight. Borrowed a schooner, sold my mother's silver forks, ate nothing but pickled squid for months. Got close once, felt its heat warp the rigging. Then he mimes an explosion with both hands, fingers splaying like a starfish hit by a trident. You ask what happened to the schooner. He grins all gaps and nicotine. Still sailing. Probably, I may have docked it in Marseille for safekeeping. Their harbor master uses it for target practice now. The joke wilts as he stares at Sugar's grave in the sky. Thing about chasing ghosts, you start feeling like one. Waves shush you, let him talk. Ever hear of the Star of Bethlehem? He doesn't wait for an answer. Comet, supernova, Venus doing psychedelics. Whatever it was popped up, messed with some dude's career plans, then ghosted. Maybe Sugar was my version of that. Midlife crisis in celestial form. A shooting star carves the dark. He doesn't blink. Know what's left where Sugar burned? Nothing. Zip. Nada. Well, almost. From his coat, he withdraws a dented tin. Inside rests a pebble pocked with tiny bubbles. Volcanic glass. Found it floating where the star died. Melted sand hardening midair. Only solid thing that came out of that chase. You hold it, warm despite the night. The Basque leans close, whispering like a kid, sharing a dirty secret. Experts think Phoenicians used those rocks as navigation tools. Align 'em with certain stars, acts like a sundial. Or maybe they just liked shiny things. Humans haven't changed much. The pebble hums against your palm, a bee trapped in amber. Took me 20 years to learn some treasures only matter 'cause they vanish. Like that friend who moves to Belize, stays perfect in your head forever. He reclaims the glass, tucks it away. Sailors who love permanent things end up well. Lighthouse keepers, tax auditors, boring bastards. Dawn licks the horizon, its pink tongue erasing stars. The Basque lights a cigarette, flame trembling. Funny part, after Sugar died, I found better stars. Ones that don't play hide and seek, but I don't love 'em same way. You ever, he stops. Swallows. You ever miss the chase more than the catch? Wind riffles your hair, answer enough. He crushes the cigarette on the rail, ash blown back into his eyes. Ah, hell, forget it. Let's eat. I've got gull eggs that expired in the Bush administration. Tastes like failure and mayonnaise. You'll love it. The tin winks in his pocket as he stomps below deck, one man's ghost, another man's compass. The Basque slaps a salt-crusted ledger onto the deck, pages splayed like a gutted fish. Time to pay attention, landlung. This ain't stargazing. This is celestial long division. His knuckle jabs at Jupiter, 4 specks orbiting the gas giant. Galileo's toys. Moons so punctual you could set your sundial by M if you enjoy disappointment. You squint at the jagged equations scrawled in margin, numbers bled by rain into Rorschach stains. Short version. Track those moons' dances, know exactly where you are. Long version. Get ready for the universe's worst math test. He rotates a brass sextant, its mirrors catching your confused blink. Europeans wet themselves when they figured this out. Suddenly, ships stopped vanishing into here be dragons' zones, mostly. Historians still argue whether Inca quipu knots were lunar calculators or ancient Amazon receipts. His thumb traces a groove in the sextant, worn smooth by dead men's grip. Took me 3 years to learn this slop. You get 3 minutes. First rule, Jupiter's a clingy girlfriend. Always demands center stage. He forces your eye to the eyepiece. The planet swims into view, stripes seething like storm bruises. See Io, little hellraiser, erupts more than my ex after tequila. Count its shadow crossing Jupiter's face, like watching mold grow on God's orange. Wavelets tap the hull, each crest a metronome. You fumble with the ephemeris, ink smearing as he barks corrections. 11 degrees starboard. No, your other starboard. Christ, you navigate like a drunk pelican. The numbers blur, 17 becomes 70. Cosines mutate into tangents. Time folds, you're suddenly 10 again. Flunking fractions behind a school desk, vibrating with stifled giggles. The Basque sighs, pulls a whalebone disc from his vest. Carved notches dot its edge like a gear from hell's clock. Medieval monks used these to predict eclipses. Or maybe to slice cheese, history's murky on details. He overlays it on your chart, moons align through corroded holes. Cheat code for the mathematically hopeless. Don't tell the Royal Society. They're still pissed about the apple thing. Your pencil snaps. He tosses you a charcoal nub, stolen from some Lascaux cave, probably. Focus. Longitudes just spite masquerading as science. You're not solving equations, you're arguing with the ocean. Jupiter's moons slide into formation, a cosmic semaphore. Numbers click. Suddenly, the scribbles make sense. The Basque grunts, half approval, half indigestion. Harrison's chronometer, overrated clockwork diva. This, he taps your trembling calculations, is real navigation. Feels like hacking God's Wi-Fi. Shadows stretch, moonlight sharpening the rigging into prison bars. You whisper the final coordinates. He nods, stares at the horizon. Close enough for jazz or marriage. A rogue wave slaps the hull, your math flees the page, dissolving into salt soup. The Basque chuckles sound of a man who's lost 8 astrolabes to similar tantrums. Relax, numbers crumble. Instinct. He taps his temple. That's the jam you wanna spread on life's toast. Dawn peeks over the Earth's curve, its arrival written in the fading orbital ballet above. The Basque kicks the ledger overboard. Watch it sink like a leaden goodbye. Keep the whalebone. Next time you're stuck, remember the sky's just a spreadsheet wearing sequins. The Basque produces a goatskin flask. Unstopping it releases the tang of fermented quince and rebellion. Dutch East India Special. Stole it from a magistrate's corpse in Jakarta. He takes a swig, wipes his mouth with the back of a hand mapped by old scars. Your turn. You gag, the liquor tastes like burnt honey and basement mildew. He chuckles, pulls a leather tube from beneath his bunk. Vellum scrolls spill out, brittle as autumn leaves. Careful, that's Ptolemy's naughty folder. Church elders burned 500 copies in Lisbon. This one swam away. Moonlight bleaches the deck, revealing constellations scratched in oxblood ink. Ursa Major isn't a bear here. It's a baker pulling loaves from heaven's oven. The Basque traces a serpentine pattern near Lyra. Meet Ophiuchus the heretic. Popes hate him, says he cures souls without permission. Got scrubbed from star guides in 1620. Historians still argue whether the Vatican's purge targeted science or just a cardinal's bad horoscope. Your finger hovers over a cluster named Lilith's womb, coordinates spiraling like a nautilus shell. The Basque slaps your wrist. Don't point. Stars gossip. They'll think you're applying for the job. He flips to another chart, Egyptian decans replaced by alchemical symbols. Copernicus's secret diary. Doodles and all. Notice the scribbles near Saturn. That's his grocery list. Turns out revolutionaries still need turnips. A wave sloshes over the gunnel, saltwater pools around the scrolls. The Basque mutters, blots the mess with his sleeve. Relax. Real heresy's waterproof. Ask the Cathars. They baptized their goats. You squint at a smudged legend. Hic sunt femini astronomy. University of Salerno's star charts, drafted by women. Burned in 1303 allegedly for correcting Aristotle. He unrolls a ribbon-thin parchment. Constellations form zodiacal braille. Persian whispers. Caliphs paid astronomers in gold and threats. miss a comet sighting. Boom, early retirement via scimeter. A joke about modern performance. Reviews dies in your throat. His glare could freeze magma. Dawn pinks the horizon. He hurriedly re-rolls the vellum. Hide these better than your ex's love letters. Monarchs kill for this crap. A black dot appears on the eastern swell, a brigantine flying Danish colors. The Basque stuffs the scrolls into his shirt ink, staining his chest like a truth serum rash. Act natural. And if they board us, swear you're marooned here by bad karma and a cheating spouse. Your heartbeat thrums in your teeth. The ship veers starboard, its cannon ports gaping. The Basque hums a drinking song, off-key and defiant. The Danes sail past, chasing phantoms or tax evaders. He exhales, tosses you a star chart scarred by candle burns. Happy birthday. That's Kepler's backup plan in case heliocentrism didn't pan out. Spoiler, we're all just ants on Newton's windowsill. You fold the parchment, its creases whispering codes even the NSA couldn't crack. The Basque lights a cigar, tobacco smoke curling into Orion's belt. Funny thing, nobody actually owns the sky. Kings erase stars, priests scribble over them. But the cosmos just laughs, wipes its ass with our egos. His ash flicks into the waves, a tiny meteor snuffed by the sea. The Basque cigar ash still drifts, its gray ghost dissolving into salt spray. When the wind drops dead, you feel the absence first. No hiss through the rigging, no slap of waves, as if God hit a cosmic mute button. The sea flattens into black glass, starlight pooling in its surface like liquid mercury. Even your breath sounds obscene. Hear a chainsaw in a library during finals week. He freezes mid-gesture, pipe stem, hovering near Scorpius, and mouths a Basque curse you're better off not understanding. Año de la Palilla, he mutters, nodding at the paralyzed sails. Year of the Moth, happened once near Java, 1724. Ere so still ships ate their own rigging to stay sane. You glance at the ropes, suddenly wondering about their dietary potential. Your ears pop, pressure dropping, as the stars brighten unnaturally. Polaris pulses like a club strobe, each throb vibrating your molars. The Basque digs through his coat, produces a mariner's astrolabe, crusted with coral. Hold this, and don't drop it unless you want to navigate by duck migrations. The brass feels warm, its degree markings glowing faintly. Historians still argue whether these tools guided ships or just gave sailors something to blame. The Milky Way fractures, its haze sharpening into individual pinpricks. You swear you see shapes, triangles, spirals, a crude stick figure waving. The Basque grunts, tapping the astrolabe's shadow on the deck. Kepler's third law won't help now. This is older math screamed by quasars, solved by drunk Sumerians. His joke lands like a lead balloon. The silence swallows it whole. Salt crystals bloom on the rails, frost in July. The boat creaks, a sound so loud it's almost vulgar. You taste electricity, or maybe that's last night's rancid quince liquor making a comeback. The Basque suddenly barks a laugh, pointing at the water. Look down. Really look. The sea mirrors the sky, so perfectly you can't tell where reality ends. Ursa Major floats beneath the hull, inverted and mocking. You lean over your breath, rippling the cosmos. Don't, he hisses. Some Norwegian captain touched his reflection in 42 sank with his whole crew. Coincidence? Maybe, but maybe not. A shadow flits across the stars, no cloud, no bird. The Basque crosses himself with comedic exaggeration, rosary beads clattering like loose change. Relax. Just a neutrino. Or my ex-wife's lawyer. You fake laugh. The sound gets eaten by the void. Your fingers cramp around the astrolabe, its needle spinning like a breakdancer. The Basque squints at Cygnus. 2 centuries back sailors claimed swans sang here. Not metaphors, actual honking. Mongols used their feathers for mute buttons. Total nonsense, probably. He says it too fast, like a man deleting his browser history. Pressure builds in your sinuses. The stars seem closer, angrier. The Basque peels off his boots, bare feet gripping the deck. Ever heard Antarctic ice sings? Low frequencies makes monks chant backup vocals. True story, or a great way to sell refrigerators. You're pretty sure that's the hypoxia talking, yet part of you is Googling mentally. Cassiopeia flickers, writing her vanity in Morse code. One bright pulse hits your retina, blinding you momentarily. The Basque slaps the mast, 3 short, 2 long. A cormorant swoops past, its wings silent, and drops a mackerel at his feet. Dinner's served. Don't ask about the sauce. You chew the raw fish. It tastes like static and apologies. The Basque licks starlight off his palm. 1937, Harvard built a telescope to listen to galaxies. Heard nothing, but vacuum cleaner hums. Turned out, it was actually a vacuum cleaner. You snort, breaking the tension like a clumsy pirate boarding party. The Big Dipper tips, spilling noiseless light onto the deck. The Basque grabs your wrist, his grip volcanic. They're laughing at us. Always laughing. We build clocks. They warp time. We name stars. They rearrange the letters. His pupils dilate, swallowing entire constellations. A single wave finally breaks the spell, its gasp echoing like a deathbed confession. Wind slaps the sails, the boat lurching starboard. The Basque pockets the astrolabe, its glow fading like a forgotten dream. Remember, this silence isn't empty. It's just waiting for better acoustics. You exhale, realizing you'd stopped breathing. The stars retreat, dimming to their usual aloof twinkle. Somewhere below deck, a bottle rolls, clinking like a toast to the surviving. The Basque kicks the rolling bottle. It clatters into the shadows as horizons bruise purple. His oar bites water, wood groaning like a stepped-on cat. Escua gouts an ari de, he growls. You need no translation. The moon bleeds at the edges, a slow stain spreading across its face. You grab the spare oar, its handle blistered with salt cysts. The Basque's rhythm is frantic, each stroke spraying star-reflected brine. In 1504, Columbus scared islanders by predicting an eclipse, tricked them into giving supplies, real leadership or earliest documented con. His chuckle rasps like a rusted hinge. You note the year's 4 syllables safe for nicotine-yellowed teeth. The shadow swallows the moon's lower curve, an obsidian sickle reaping light. Blood-red hues seep into the sea wave crests glowing like heated iron. The Basque rose harder, muscles straining against time itself. 1883 Krakatoa's ash made moons blue for years. This is older magic, less polite. Your oar slips, wood squealing against the oarlock. The Basque shoots you a glare that could curdle milk. Centuries back, they'd bang pots to scare the dragon, eating the moon. We've got, he jerks his chin at your oar, better percussion. You tap the hull 3 tentative knocks. The Basque rolls his eyes. Louder. They're Baltic dragons partial to death metal. A cold wind erupts. No, not wind. Air rushing to fill the vacuum where the moon once hung. The Basque braces his legs, tattoos rippling like live eels. 1979, NASA left mirrors on the moon. Soviets claimed they distorted tides. Historians still argue whether Gorbachev cited it in Reykjavik. The red deepens, water thick as Merlot. Something vast groans beneath the boat. Not whale song, more like a glacier calving in reverse. The Basque spits overboard, his saliva hangs midair before diving into the void. Ever seen coral spawn? Same vibe. Moons expelling bad decisions. You're pretty sure moons don't have X's, but metaphors drown faster than facts tonight. The eclipse hits totality, black pupil in a crimson iris. The Basque shouts over the sudden roar, a sound like avalanches in zero gravity. Dragons aside eclipses birthed the first lawyers. Mesopotamians sued gods for lost sunlight, settled out-of-court rainbows as currency. His teeth glow lurid in the red light, incisors sharpened by decades of lies. Your hands blister, or friction melting skin onto wood. The Basque doesn't slow. 1962 Quakers tried to halt Vietnam by praying during an eclipse. Pentagon reported unusual cloud cover that day. Coincidence? Let's ask the dragon. A wave slaps your face, salt water and copper tang. You realize the sea's warm as broth. Stars re-emerge not around the eclipse, but within it. A negative image of the night sky, constellations you've never seen. The Basque freezes, or dripping crimson droplets. Turn away. Now, you disobey. The shapes coalesce, a spiral, a triquetra, something with too many eyes. Your nostrils burn ozone and burned hair. He slams his oar down, shattering the vision. They showed you their vacation photos. Huh. Nasty business. The moon begins its retreat, shadow sliding upward like a velvet curtain. The Basque sags, suddenly looking every one of his 69 years. Borrowed time, always borrowed time. Dawn lingers on the eastern rim, a coward peeking around a corner. The Basque rubs his chest, a tarnished locket swinging free, inside a lock of hair. a dried starfish. He snaps it shut before you decide. Ever hear of eclipse blindness? Not from staring, from seeing too much. The sea pales to pink, discount salmon fillet under supermarket lights. The Basque rights his cap, its brim frayed from 100 storms. Maya kings drank chocolate mixed with eclipse ash, called it God's hangover cure. He offers a flask. You decline. Wise choice. First sunlight hits the deck. The boat exhales in relief. The Basque examines his oar, splintered but unbroken. Next total eclipse April 20th, 24. Mark your calendar. Or don't. Dragons aren't big on RSVPs. You touch the blister on your palm. Its shape matches the Big Dipper. Coincidence? Let's ask the pots and pans. The Basque peels a splinter from his palm, stitching it back into the oar like a woodsman's sutures. Dawn licks the hull, every barnacle sparking false hope of shore. You smell resin and rancid olive oil before seeing huts, weather-beaten shacks, huddled like guilty conspirators. St. Jean de Luz, he mutters, a name chewed by centuries of salt. 17th century whaling capital. Now, he spits. Candle shops and cruise brochures. His boots crunch over oyster shells, each step a popped blister. The first workshop reeks of beeswax and regret. An old mariner dips wicks, hands trembling yet precise. His left ear's missing payment, he claims, to a mermaid on the Dover route. Historians still argue whether Basque whalers really trained cormorants to catch squid. He nods to a birdcage empty, save for dried ink stains. The Basque inspects a candle carved like Poseidon's trident. Bullshit. Real ones used pig fat and crushed fireflies. He flips it, revealing a price tag that could buy a donkey. Tourists swallow anything with enough glitter. You pocket a wax starfish. It leaves an oily smear on your thumb. The candle maker winks. Moonless nights, these hold constellations. Burn one, they'll sing. The Basque snorts. Wait till Valparaiso, your socks'll hum Verdi. They argue in Euskara, clipped consonants bouncing off copper molds. You catch Jupiter and Lyre before the sailor storms out. The candle maker shrugs. He wanted my lighthouse lenses, says they're choke-full of comets. Prove it, no. Outside, children skip rope with dried kelp. Their chant mentions a shipwrecked chocolatier and a kraken with sweet tooth. The Basque kicks a pebble. 1901, locals tried, exporting glowworm lanterns to Paris. Bankrupted by fireflies, scribbling love notes in Morse code. He leads you uphill, past grapevines strangled by fishing nets. A cottage drips wax stalactites, tiny galaxies suspended in amber. Inside, a woman pours hot tallow into astrolabe molds. Her arms bear tattoos of eclipse paths, ink faded to sepsis green. Proof, growls the Basque. She smirks, lifting a candle stub. Its flame gutters, then burns upside down. Sire de Lune, 24-karat star soot. Melts at body heat. You touch it, the wax yields like sun-warmed skin. He slams coins on the table, ancient doubloons crusted with coral. She pockets them without counting. Fringe archaeologists claim Phoenician ships had wax hulls melted under Sirius to recast mid-voyage. Total fantasy unless you've seen liposuria drunk. The candle hisses when lit, exhaling vapor that coils into a tiny Pegasus. It dissolves before leaving the chimney. The Basque grunts approval. Better than Marseille, they just add lavender and charge triple. Dusk encroaches, the sailor grows restless. He presses a finger into molten wax, Leviathan's constellation captured in a thumbprint. When my brother died, they poured candles from his fishing gear. Burned one at sea, said it'd guide him home. Stupid, he pauses. They flickered whenever tides changed. The candle maker offers a wick braided with his beard hairs. He refuses. Bad luck, like naming a boat after your mother. Instead, he steals a votive shaped like chronos, swaddled in ship's manifests. Back at the docks, he ignites it. The flame pirouettes, casting shadows of caravels and crocans. A tendril of smoke snakes into your collar, whispering coordinates even maps fear to chart. Final gift, he says. Don't thank me. Candlelight's just trapped starlight sobbing for release. You watch until dawn punches through the bay, the wick drowning in its own wax. He's already gone, his hat left as a wick snuffer. Inside the brim, an embossed latitude matching your newest blister's coordinates. Some questions float, better unasked. The Basque's hat still smells of snuffed wicks, carbon, and salt crusting the brim like blackened snow. Stars prick through the indigo. One cluster swims into view. 7 points form a bloated whale tail, breaching the Milky Way's current. He materializes beside you, pipe ember painting his scowl orange. Leviathan's constellation, no chart marks it. Sailors who cross its path disappear or become poets. Waves slap the hull in triplet rhythm, a nautical waltz. You squint. Looks like a drunk Ursa Major. He chuckles a sound like gravel in a tin bucket. 16th century Basques hunted whales here. First to sell their blubber in London markets. His knife scrapes the rail, flaking rust mimics drifting stars. Took 3 ships to kill a bull whale. Left the calves to mourn bad luck otherwise. A shooting star drags its guts across the sky. Old-timers claimed while oil lamps showed faces. Women they'd wronged, babies lost at sea. He spits overboard. Bullshit. Blubber just stinks. The Leviathans. Star pulses once. A lazy wink. Fringe types swear this. He jabs his pipe at the constellation guided the San Telmo. Spain's lost warship. Sank here in 1819, haunting the Drake Passage ever since. Something groans in the deep wood under pressure, or something older. You mention Phoenician star maps. He snorts. Historians still argue whether ancient mariners drew whales or waves. Idiots. Sailors sketched food, nothing mystical about survival. The constellation sharpens, as if adjusting its posture. Polaris dims in deference. Catch the ribs. The Basque traces 5 faint stars. missing in summer returns when icebergs calve. Coincidence? Probably. Sailors love patterns like drunks love bar stools. His thumb rubs the chronos candle's remains, now a melted puddle in his pocket. Respect the deep, and Leviathan guards your hull. Mock it. He nods to the horizon, bruised clouds gather. You'll feed the same fish you've eaten. A thermal gust hits. It smells of spoiling lamb and myrrh. The whale-shaped stars blur, then clarify. Watch the tail. 2 new stars flicker where none existed. Leviathan judges your cargo. Stolen gold, it'll capsize you. Books, he grins. She's a soft touch for scholars. You blink, the tail stars vanish. Petitioning constellations now. Better than praying to saints. At least stars admit they're indifferent. He stamps his pipe out on the Leviathan's fluke. In the sky, ashes rain into the sea. Dawn approaches, the whale dissolves first. No fanfare. Just stars retreating to their day shift. The Basque mutters a Basque dirge, words warped by tobacco and missing teeth. You pretend not to hear him toss the chronos wax into the waves, or the faint splash that follows. The pipe's dying breath fills your nose, charred cherry wood and finality. He grinds the ember against the rail ashes, cascading like reverse snowflakes. Dawn licks the horizon gold fangs, tearing through indigo. The Basque studies the stain spreading across the sky. Watch leviathans till star last to drown. You catch its final wink, a lighthouse snuffed. Ever heard of the Franklin expedition? He spits. 19th century fools. 8 mercury-laden tins while searching for the Northwest Passage. His laugh wrinkles the dawn. Their teeth fell out before the ice took them. A cold gust carries something floral, rotten violets, and wet newspaper. Greenlanders say northern lights are walrus souls. Makes more sense than physicists. Excited particles. His boot taps a rusted cleat, Morse code for bullshit. Historians still argue whether Basques reached America before Columbus. But here's the rub. His finger stabs your chest. We never wrote it down. Smart sailors keep their port secret. The boat shivers, wood groaning as light bleeds into the deck. He peels a wax glob from his sleeve, last remnant of the chronos candle. Time's a hangnail. Peel it back too far. He flicks it overboard. The wax hits water without a splash. You taste copper. His pipe stem left a blood blister on your palm. Clocks lie, he growls. Dawn's a shared delusion. Trick your bones into believing it. Stars dissolve like sugar in tea, except one. The Basque nods to it. Evening's first star. Same damn light they followed in Troy. His hand trembles, calluses, catching the newborn sun like braille. A wave slaps the hull, suspiciously rhythmic. Ship's ghost, he mutters. Franklin's men or my ex-wife, hard to tell. The joke flattens under Dawn's weight. He peels off his hat, salt crystals rain down. Keep this. The wool smells of hardtack and regret. Tell people you outran the Greenland squid. They'll buy drinks forever. The horizon hemorrhages light. His silhouette thins, edges vibrating like a mirage. You blink. The rail holds only a pipe's shadow. Water laps where his boots once dug into planks. A tern shrieks. You turn. Its wings etch equations in the air. Numbers you almost understand. The hat's brim shields your eyes, too late. Dawn's here, somewhere beneath you, in the black syrup of deep water. The chronos wax glows. It pulses once. A whale song rattles the hull. You pretend not to notice. The first star of evening winks awake. The Basque's voice rasps like hull wood on sand, a sea shanty dragged from the deep. He taps the mast, 3 quick, 2 slow. Ever hear of the SS Waretta? 1909. Disappeared off South Africa with 200 souls. Some say it's still out there, hull full of ghostly butter churns. You squint, half expecting a spectral prow to pierce the horizon. Their cargo manifest listed lamp oil and pianos. Imagine drowning to Four Elise, played by a drunk octopus. His grin fades. Compasses failed that night. Magnetic storm or Poseidon's credit collector. A tern drops a mackerel at your feet. The Basque kicks it overboard. Don't. Fish that fresh'll give you dreams where your teeth sing opera. He unwraps a licorice root, offers you a gnaw. Phoenician doges used star maps baked into biscotti. Crumbled in their coffins, navigating the afterlife with crumbs. Moonlight glints off his belt buckle, a 2-headed eagle devouring its own wings. Historians still argue whether the Mary Celeste crew jumped or drifted. I've seen trunks in the Azores, moth-eaten dresses, folded neat as origami. He hums a notes, minor key, salt-corroded. Spanish galleons carried mercury for gold refining. Crews called it the devil's sweat. First mate's logbook from the San Jose, pages stuck together from centuries of spilled quicksilver. You lean against the capstan. It creaks, a sound like vertebrae popping. 19th century whalers mistook auroras for angel battles. Chased 'em till their ships kissed icebergs. Frostbite's a bitch, but the hallucinations. Top-tier theater. A wave slaps the hull, spray hits your neck like a nun's ruler. The Basque wipes his brow with a navigation chart. King Carlos III had a pet squid that predicted tsunamis. Died of constipation, ate too many Portuguese fishing nets. He unrolls a star map tattooed on his forearm. See that smudge? Fomal hot. Arab traders called it the fish's mouth. Swore it tasted of apricots if you licked the horizon. Clouds swallow the moon. The Basque lights a tar-coated torch. Flames hiss warnings in a language you almost recognize. Ever met a compass that pointed to fear instead of north? Inuit shamans sold to rival tribes. Poetic justice with a side of hypothermia. Your fingernails dig into the rail, splinters writing promises in your skin. The Basque snorts. Relax. Worst case, we join the ghost fleet. You'll make a decent cabin boy if poltergeists need their boots polished. Dawn bleeds through the mast lines, striping the deck like a jail cell. He pockets his lodestone, time to lose the stars. His knife flashes, severing the halyard. The sail crumples a shot swan. Somewhere below deck wood groans. A harmonica wheezes nearer my God to thee. The Basque shrugs, either rats with tiny instruments or my ex's ghost. Don't make eye contact. You pocket a rusted pulley. Its teeth bite your thigh through the fabric. The Basque winks. Good. Souvenirs anchor memories. Without 'em, we're just sea foam with trust issues. His shadow stretches too long, too thin, piercing the horizon like a harpoon. You blink. The knife clatters where he stood. The harmonica stops mid-note. A single feather drifts down, black and iridescent. You press it to your ear, distant through the veins. A choir sings in a ship's belly. The ocean inhales. The ocean inhales and exhales a ballad. The Basque's voice rasps through the salt haze, a shanty rougher than barnacles. Ever seen a compass weep? 1917. The USS Cyclops vanished near Bermuda. 16,000 tons of manganese ore. Gone. Not even a cork float left. He spits, a black arc hitting the waves. Navy sent a blimp to find him 70 years later. Found a sandwich. Ham on rye still fresh. Don't believe me? Ask the seagulls. You glance at the horizon, a seam between two voids. Why'd it sink? Compasses spun like drunk ballerinas. Crews scraped whale oil onto the needles, thought it calmed the sea's temper. He bares his teeth yellow as sulfur. Whales hate that. Their ghosts gunked up the works. Poetic, non. A wave slithers over the deck, leaving a dead starfish. The Basque flicks it into the rigging. Bad omen. Unless you need a coaster for your grog. His boot nudges a salt-crusted compass. Roman sailors used dolphin fat for lubrication. Smelled like a brothel after Lent. Navigated straighter, but the dolphins held grudges. Moonlight fractures on the water a mosaic of broken mirrors. Ever hear choral choirs? Those wrecks down there, he stamps the planks. They sing in minor keys, G sharp mostly. Harmonies could make a parson punch his mama. You press your ear to the mast. A low thrum vibrates your jawbone. That them? Nah. Shipworms tap dancing on the hull. Better than the radio. No adverts for hemorrhoid creams. He unwraps a waxed packet, offers you salted plums. Portuguese kings buried their admirals with cinnamon sticks for scenting the afterlife. Think the underworld smells like a bakery. A shooting star scars the sky momentary, violent. The Basque tracks it like artillery fire. Armenian merchants thought meteors were God's toenail clippings. Collected him in goat bladders. Sold as love potions. Worked 60% of the time. The compass at your feet twitches, needle quivering northeast. What's that way? HMS Eurydice. Sank 1878. Frozen rigging, sails turned to stone mid-billow. He mimics a statue pose, chin raised, hand shielding invisible eyes. Rescue crew swore they heard opera. Verdi, probably. Italians die dramatically. You smirk. Better than a kazoo funeral. Don't knock kazoos. Polynesians used him to scare off tsunami demons. Worked until someone giggled. he tosses the last plum pit overboard. Historians still argue whether the Bermuda Triangle's methane bubbles or just captains who couldn't read a damn map. A cold gust tears through the sails. They snap like disapproving librarians. Speaking of maps, the Basque unbuttons his shirt, reveals a tattooed chart across his chest. See this X? That's where I buried my sense of caution. Dug it up once. Didn't like the smell. You trace the inked longitude lines. They pulse faintly, or maybe it's your fingertips going numb. Why choral choirs, though? Dead sailors get bored. Gotta harmonize or go mad. You ever worked a 9 to 5 in a cubicle? Same principle. He buttoned his shirt. The X vanishes beneath fabric. French submariners claimed they heard Mozart down there. Probably lying. Germans heard polkas. That I believe. A rogue wave slams the starboard side. The deck tilts like a funhouse floor. You grab the rail, knuckles bleaching white. The Basque laughs. Still think this is a pleasure cruise. We're rats in Neptune's bucket. The compass rolls past, needle now fixed on your left boot. Is it broken or enlightened? He crushes it under his heel. Brass shards glitter like cheap sequins. Finnish pirates navigated by vole bones. Hit more icebergs, but voles tried their best. Something thumps against the hull, rhythmic, insistent. The Basque peers over the edge, either a Kraken's kid sister or my ex-wife. Both like to knock 3 times. You inhale salt trust lodestone, the stench of forgotten voyages. Could the choirs be a hoax? Sonar glitches. Sure, and maybe the moon's just a painted coconut. He lights a cigarette. The flame throws jack-o'-lantern shadows on his face. Dutch sailors swore the northern lights were angels filing their nails. First guy who disagreed, marooned with a dull knife and 3 lemons. The thumping stops. Silence collapses like a failed souffle. The Basque exhales smoke rings that mimic Saturn's bands. 184.5. The Edinburgh went down with 87 tons of Russian gold. Salvagers found it in a walrus. True story. Bully for the walrus. You blink. How do you think? Constipation. Noble way for a beast to go. He grinds the cigarette into the deck, leaves a smoldering Rorschach blot. Point is ship's die. Crews turn to chords and choral. Try not to join 'em before dinner. Dawn bleeds through the eastern clouds, weak orange syrup. The Basque shades his eyes. Helios is early. Someone give that boy a snooze button. A faint melody rises through the boards, strings and reeds, and the creak of waterlogged timber. He freezes. There's your choir. C sharp minor. They're covering Greensleeves. Bold choice. You strain to hear. The tune dissolves into seagull shrieks. The Basque shrugs. Critics panned him. Too much vibrato. Not enough accordion. He grabs a mop, starts swabbing the deck with monastic focus. Remember, every wreck's a music box, winded up with storms. Plays till the rust wins. A cold droplet slides down your neck. You look up, clouds clot the sky. The Basque follows your gaze. Rain's coming. Best kind, no metaphors, just wet. The first drops hit, pocking the wood like Morse code. He tilts his face upward, lets the water pool in his eye sockets. Never trust a compass, or a choir, or a Basque with a mop. You open your mouth, salt water hits your tongue, the harmonica in your pocket thrums, a single, sour note. The Basque grins. Ah, intermission's over. The coastline emerges like a poorly drawn stitch, jagged edges, repeating into infinity. Each cove mirrors the last, a hall of mirrors carved by spiteful tides. The Basque grips the tiller, knuckles matching the pallor of dried squid. Galician cartographers called these shores God's draft pages. Too lazy to finish the job, you squint, the cliffs resolve into fractal patterns. A shattered mirror, a diseased lung, piano keys after a sledgehammer recital. Ever sailed here before? He spits, the wind slaps it back onto his boot. Basque whalers dried carcasses on these rocks. 1,900 tons of blubber yearly stunk up Lisbon. Made the Tagus River vomit seashells for a decade. His thumb traces a scar. Cut myself on a whale's ear bone, still hums when lightning's near. A cold gust carries the reek of kelp and dead empires. You spot a rusted anchor wedged in the cliffside, its flukes pointing skyward. Salvageable. Only for pessimists. That's from a Roman grain ship, 15 BC, held Egyptian barley, and one very miffed cat. He drops the sail, canvas collapsing like a shot vulture. Fun fact, they used fermented fish guts as thread sealant. Caesar's navy smelled like a sushi chef's dumpster fire. The boat drifts closer, each rock reveals smaller duplicates. Your eyes water trying to track the pattern. The Basque refuses to look. Shore, where stars go to die. Watch. He points to Polaris, its light dimming as land encroaches. A cormorant screeches, a sound like bending rebar. Navarrese shepherds used to herd sheep along these ridges. Got lost so often they bred goats with magnetite in their skulls. Worked until the goats unionized. He tosses a stale biscuit overboard. It sinks like a tiny coffin. Historians still argue whether Phoenicians actually circumnavigated Africa or just hallucinated from too much date wine. You taste copper. The air's thick with ionized regret. Why avoid the shore? He hesitates a first. Ever seen a sailor's funeral on land? They stuff the coffin with navigational charts. Paper graves for paper men. His boot grinds the deck. Out here, we decompose properly. Salt strips the flesh. Fish carry our stories in their swim bladders. Ashore, you just rust. A wavelet licks the hull. Its hiss morphs into a distorted shanty. The Basque hums along one beat behind, like a man arguing with his echo. Dutch traders claimed these cliffs bleed mercury during storms. Drove 3 surveyors mad. They tried bottling it as cologne. Marketed as eau de dementia. Sold out in Antwerp. You lean over the rail. The water's so clear, you see eels writing cursive. Any gold here? Only fool's gold, and we're fresh out of fools. He yanks a frayed rope. The mast creaks in protest. Ottoman corsairs buried a treasure here in 1583, dug it up 2 days later. Turns out pirates lack patience and shovels. The fractal pattern warps a bay within a bay within a bay. Your brain throbs. The Basque smirks. First rule of coastlines, they're just water's way of quitting halfway, like my third marriage. A rash of bioluminescence blooms below neon green tendrils, spelling insults in aquatic slang. The Basque translates, says you row like a narcoleptic octopus. Harsh, but fair. You grab the oars, blisters erupting like tiny volcanoes. Which way? Away. For once, he offers no punchline, no myth, no hand-rolled proverb. The boat pivots, sternside scraping a barnacled monolith. Lichen grows in perfect latitude lines. You shiver. Could live out here. Fish, chart the stars. Eat questionable shellfish. The Basque snorts, spoken like a true landlubber. This ain't castaway chic, it's purgatory with better tides. He stomps, the hull shudders. My uncle wintered here after a mutiny. Ate his own boots. Said the laces tasted like forgiveness. Died arguing with a hermit crab. A tern drops a mackerel on the deck, its scales glittering like conspiracy theories. The Basque pockets it. Hungry, didn't think so. Dawn claws upward, the fractal cliffs flatten into mundane stone. He sighs. There's the rub. Mysteries, just reality before coffee. A tremor rolls through his pupils. The stars he swallowed decades ago clawing at his ribs. You touch the water, it recoils. What now? The Basque fans out a hand, 5 options, 5 waves, 5 chances to stay lost. His voice drops to a conspiratorial rasp. Madrid's archives hold a map from Cortez's chef, shows Atlantis, right under the Canary Islands. But it's stained with mole sauce. Credibility issues. The boat drifts sideways, caught in a riptide of indecision. You smell wood smoke, some lunatic's campfire on a distant beach. The Basque sniffs. Pine and bad decisions. My ex-wife's perfume. He slumps against the mast, suddenly old. Landlubbers think coastlines are borders. They're really frayed knots, unraveling. A cough tears loose. Best we can do is fray elegantly. The first star pierces the twilight vega, desperate for attention. The Basque doesn't glance up. He's already half ashore. Your pocket compass spins, needle drunk on shoreline vertigo. You snap it shut. Beneath you, the hull sighs, a sound between surrender and rebirth. The Basque steers toward a clutter of sea stacks, their bases pockmarked with caves, like hungry mouths. Waves cough up foam in Morse code. Poseidon's library, he grunts, where tides write furious Yelp reviews about humanity. You crouch, water sluices through a crevice, carving spirals into the rock. Each groove glistens wet black. The sailor kicks a barnacle. Phoenicians measured Gibraltar's tides here, used the data to outrun Roman patrols. Real oceans, 11 vibes, minus Clooney's hair. A wave retreats, revealing fresh scrawls on the walls. Glyphs shaped like drowning serpents and broken anchors. The Basque traces one. 18th century sailors thought these were love letters from mermaids, translated one as your eyes shine like partially digested plankton. Romance ain't dead. You scrape moss from a cymbal, a hand gripping a trident. Warnings. Depends who's asking. In 1502, a Portuguese monk claimed they predicted tsunamis. Drowned preaching repentance in a codpiece. Historians still argue whether these marks are nautical alerts or just the sea's grocery lists. The Basque spits, the tide erases it instantly. Something clatters in a nearby cavern. The sailor freezes. Hear that, the librarians. Crabs, worse, hermits who think they're oracles. Last one tried to sell me a kelp-based mutual fund. He lights a tar-coated stick. Smoke reeks of burned regrets. Found a cave once, walls covered in star charts. Turned out to be some kid's Minecraft fan art. Don't get excited. Salt crusts your lips. The Basque lobs a stone into the dark. It echoes like a champagne cork in a cathedral. They say Cortez's navigator hid Aztec gold here. But the real treasure's dumber. A French poet once chiseled bad haikus into the rock. Rhymed moon with spoon in Latin. A wave surges, water slams the cave ceiling. You grab a ledge, your fingers find unnatural grooves. Roman numerals, dates. The Basque squints. Ah, the eye was here of 1374. Viking graffiti. That little shit Erickson added a dickbutt drawing further left. The tide drags back, exposing a tunnel. Bioluminescent algae pulses an eerie invite. You step toward it. The Basque blocks your path, arm like a ship's timber. Caveat emptor, kiddo. Last tourist who went in. Came out speaking fluent dolphin, kept demanding sashimi and tax exemptions. Wind whistles through the caves, a dissonant choir. You spot a tide pool swirling with copper coins, modern euros, drachmas, a Chuck E. Cheese token. The Basque scoops them up. Poseidon's piggy bank. He's a capricious landlord. Also terrible at Mario Kart. Moonlight bleeds through a fissure. The glyphs seem to squirm. You swear one winks. The Basque groans. There's a C student's rendition of Medusa. Note the lazy snake hair. Zero effort. Poseidon deserves better interns. A wave erupts, soaking you to the bone. The sailor coughs up brine. Lesson time. Tides carve these caves 2 millimeters yearly. Meaning, he pauses for effect. This nonsense took 12,000 brunches. Continental drifts, a lazy Susan. You touch a damp glyph, it burns like dry ice. The Basque yanks your hand back. Tide rash. Hurts less than my second marriage, but same aftertaste. A distant bell tolls, maybe a ship, maybe the caves gaslighting you. The Basque checks his watch. Low tide's got 5 minutes left. Choices. Get trapped with philosophical crustaceans, or I push you in now. High above, gulls laugh like drunk uncles. You inch forward. The cave exhales, wet and warm and smelling of rusted iron. Lichen glows in protest. The Basque shrugs. Fine, but when you're crowned king of the barnacles, don't ask me to pay taxes. He lobs his smoke stick ahead. Firelight reveals walls crawling with carvings. A fleet sinking. A squid playing mandolin. A very anatomically correct Neptune. You squint at a cluster of symbols. Turn back translates the Basque, or Tuesday's clam special is mid. Glyph dialects vary. Another wave knee-deep now. Your boots fill with pebbles masquerading as pearls. The Basque grips your collar. Tick-tock, Cortez. Choose, drowned adventurer or live coward. Your voice surprises you. I'm staying. He mutters something that sounds like regret adjacent. The last smoke stick dies, plunging the cave into ink. Water swirls around your thighs. Somewhere in the dark, stone grinds on stone. A new glyph forms. The glyph glows, a smudged fingerprint of blue-green light. Water laps at your ribs cold as a mortician's handshake. The Basque mutters, found the nebula's fan club. He gestures upward. A crack in the cave ceiling frames a starscape. One patch looks like spilled wine in zero gravity. The hourglass nebula pulses, its waist cinched by dust, the last gasp of a sun that partied too hard. NASA called it the Eye of God for a hot minute. The Basque grumbles. Then lawyers got involved. Now it's just this. He mimics a tiny trumpet with his hands. Sad sound, effects optional. Moonlight refracts through the nebula's haze, dousing the cave in spoiled milk white. You spot more glyphs, crude arrows pointing skyward. The sailor kicks a half-submerged amphora. 17th century monks thought this nebula was St. Lawrence's barbecue grill. Tried to roast fish under its light. Got food poisoning. Divine punishment's a bitch. A wave sloshes. Your shirt floats like a jellyfish. The Basque plucks a silver coin from the water. A denarius, minted under Trajan. Historians still argue whether Rome mapped this nebula or just doodled while drunk. He flicks it. The coin slices the hourglass's reflection into glinting shards. Something squeaks in the shadows. A barnacle-encrusted oar floats by, its handle carved with Norse runes. The Basque snorts. Eric the Red's summer home. He hosted epic raves here. Mead, and more mead. Also terrible kombucha. You reach for the nebulous light. It slips through your fingers like vaporized velvet. The Basque grabs your wrist. Don't. That's stellar hospice care up there. Dying stars cranking out its greatest hits, like my ex's mixtape. The water's rising faster now, warm where the nebulous glow touches it. The sailor leans against a stalagmite. Ever hear of the Chaldean star eaters? Cult from 3000 BC believed the hourglass was a spice rack, stole stardust for their curry. Got roasted by a supernova. Literally. A distant rumble shakes the cave, pebbles rain down. The Basque doesn't flinch, relax. It's just the universe's screen door slamming. Happens every billion years. Your fingers brush the cave wall. It's fever hot. Glyphs squirm like neon eels. The Basque sloshes closer. 1996, Hubble telescope got its first good peek at that nebula. Scientists creamed their cargo pants. Turns out dying stars cry. Their tears taste like burnt marshmallows. Don't ask. A stalactite crashes into the water, missing you by a breath. The Basque eyes the narrowing exit. Here's a tip: galaxies die like us. First, they burn bright, then they get stretch marks. Then, poof. All anyone remembers is the afterglow. You spot an alcove above, carved steps lead toward the nebula's fractured light. The Basque blocks your path. Don't. Last guy who climbed those came down convinced he was a lost Lennon twin. Sang Imagine for 6 hours straight. Annoying as fuck. The hourglass flickers, its lower bulb dimming. The sailor's face sags in the sudden dark. Fun fact, my father's ashes are up there. Well, maybe. We shot them into orbit with a potato cannon. Venezuelan airspace violation. Whole thing was messy. Water hits your collarbone. The Basque produces a flask, takes a swig, offers it. The liquid tastes like radio static and dental fillings. Nebula-infused tequila, distilled from telescope sweat, makes you see truths, and also Mike Tyson's pet tiger. The walls shudder, glyphs rearrange themselves into a spiral galaxy. The Basque chuckles. There's my yearbook photo, class of '89. Beard was denser back then. Liver too. A beam of nebula light lands on his chest. It glows through his shirt like an X-ray. His ribs flicker, cracks spreading like frost on a windshield. He notices your stare. Relax. We're all just recycled star stuff. My warranty expired, a decade ago. His laugh becomes a cough. Pro tip: never trust a supernova to costen your loans. The cave groans, a sound felt in molars. The Basque grips your shoulder, his hand trembles. When I'm gone, scatter me where the hourglass can't reach. Someplace with cheap beer and dumber regrets. You open your mouth, salt water greets your tongue. The nebula winks out, plunging the cave into black. His voice comes from everywhere. Remember, stars die. Stories don't. Now hold your breath. The tide takes you both. The ocean spits you onto the boat's deck, ropes tangling your legs like overcooked spaghetti. The Basque coughs up a starfish, watches it somersault into the dark. Lesson time. Knots. If you can't tie them, the sea will tie you. Into knots. Literally. He tosses you a hemp rope, salt-crusted and smelling of fish market regrets. His hands dance, frayed ends twisting into a perfect bowline. Celtic sailors used this one for anchors. Vikings preferred it for restraining drunk uncles during solstice parties. You fumble creating something between a noose and a modern art sculpture. The Basque squints. My first hangover knot. Classic. Moonlight catches a scar on his palm, crisscrossed like a subway map. Every sailor's got a favorite. Mine's the Zeppelin Bend. Why? Steals oxygen from smug people. Science. Waves slap the hull, a drowsy metronome. He demonstrates the Carrick Bend, 2 loops embracing like reunited lovers. Bonus fact: fishermen in Crete tied these near nets. Thought it lured horny octopuses. Spent centuries wondering why. A shooting star streaks overhead. The Basque salutes it with his flask. Ever hear of the moon knot? Fringe theory says Polynesians bound sails with it during full moons. Legend claims it holds moonlight. Sold on Etsy now $50 a pop. You try replicating the pattern, fingers tangling like eels in a net. The Basque critiques your technique with the patience of a seagull eyeing fries. Scholars still fight over the Beldar knot. Ritual calendar. Sheep shackle might just been a bored shepherd's macrame phase. A wet thump echoes beneath the boat. The sailor smirks. Kraken's cousin says your bowlin sucks. He grabs your mangled attempt, rearranges it into a sleek figure eight. Portuguese whalers used this beauty. Also worked great for silencing snoring crewmates. Ethics optional. Your hands cramp, the rope feels alive. Knots squirm like vipers in a sack. The Basque lights a cigarette off the moon's reflection. Eskimo hitch. Not actually from Alaska. Got named by a guy who'd never left New Jersey. History's a prankster. He produces a knife, a blade blackened by comet dust. Test time. Secure that barrel. You wrestle the rope around splintered wood, tying a mutant reef knot. The Basque tugs once. Everything collapses. Congratulations. You just invented abstract nautical expressionism. A wave soaks you both. He doesn't blink. Medieval sailors tied wizards' knots during storms. Thought it confused thunder gods. Mostly confused their captains. His hands blur, crafting a knot that defies gravity. Reverse clove hitch. Invented by a nun who hated masts. Vatican later banned it. 2. Punk rock. Your second attempt holds barely. The Basque kicks the barrel, it wobbles, but stays. Progress. 5% less embarrassing. Stars pulse brighter overhead, Orion's belt jangling like loose change. Now the sheepshank. Useless but pretty, like most democracy. Silence settles, stretched taut between failed knots. He leans closer, tobacco and ozone. Funeral knots, they are a thing. Manon's buried sailors with coiled ropes, each twist a prayer against quiet graves. Archaeologists found one last year still tied. Unlike my last marriage. A distant foghorn groans. The Basque studies your latest tangle, nods once. Ah, the lobster's existential crisis. Rare. Only seen during Mercury retrograde. He flicks his cigarette. It arcs into the sea. The ember hisses like a tiny supernova. Wind riffles the sails. Your knot holds firm this time. The Basque yawns. Adequate. C minus minus. But hey, C's get degrees. And dysentery. He slumps against the mast, eyes reflecting the Milky Way's curve. Final test. He points to the sky. A constellation forms a hangman's noose. Corvus, the crow, tied to the mast by Apollo. Historians still argue whether it's a cautionary tale or early yachting propaganda. You glance down. Your hands have somehow tied a perfect anchor bend. The Basque grunts approval. There it is. Muscle memory, like riding a bike. If the bike was made of spite and seaweed. Stars flare suddenly, their light sharp as diamond blades. The Basque shields his eyes. Ah, stellar applause. They dig effort. Also, they're huge drama queens. He tosses you a rusty compass. Its needle spins lazily. Keep it. Points where you need to go. Not necessarily north. Like me, after 3 rums, dawn bleeds across the horizon. The Basque's shadow stretches into the sea. He examines your knots one last time, snorts. They'll do. Unlike my parenting skills, a gust tears at the sails your knots hold. The sailor smiles. It looks painful. Remember, ropes fray. Knots forget. But the sea, she never lets go. Annoying, isn't it? His laugh dissolves into coughs, wet and seismic. You pretend not to notice. The boat creaks, a lullaby sung through salt-cured wood. When you glance up, he's gone. Only the knots remain, each twist humming with borrowed starlight. Clouds swallow the moon whole, a midnight kidnapping. The Basque hisses through tobacco-stained teeth, a stream of Basque curses, tasting of burnt honey and shipwrecked wine. Ertzi's tangled beard. Someone wake the old bastard. His lantern's gone out. You squint skyward, nothing but a woolen smear where the moon should be. The sailor digs through his coat, pulls out a bone flute carved with whale song notations. Hittite priests used these during eclipses, scared the demons, or gave them dance recommendations. History's fuzzy. He plays 3 shrill notes. The sound cracks like overbaked clay. Thunder rumbles, the clouds tighten their grip. Persian myth claims clouds are sheep, moon's their shepherd. Clearly, we've got some rebellious lambs tonight. A cold drizzle begins, each droplet buzzing like static. The Basque spits into the wind, watches it hover midair. Bad sign. Means the sky's charging up. Ever seen ball lightning up close? Looks like God's failed souffle. You grab a lantern, swing it wildly at the gloom. The Basque chuckles, a sound like gravel in a tin can. 19th century sailors tried that. Burnt down 3 ships before realizing clouds don't fear fire or common sense. He tosses the flute aside. It sinks without protest. All right, plan B Phoenician, moon summoning chant. Requires perfect pitch and a complete lack of shame. His voice rises, a guttural melody that vibrates your molars. You join in half a beat behind, mangling vowels older than Babylon. The sailor winces. Was that E-flat or a dying goat? No matter, keep going. Volume trumps talent in celestial negotiations. Stars begin winking out, snuffed like candle flames. The Basque groans, tugs a medallion from his neck. Okay, real talk, this thing's from a Tucson pawn shop. But the guy swore it was Manon. Worth a shot. He rubs the tarnished disc, muttering what sounds like a fast food order in ancient Greek. Historians still argue whether the Manons worshipped bulls, volcanoes, or really aggressive interior decor. The medallion glows faintly, emitting the scent of burned toast. Wind rips the words from your lips, tossing them into the void. The Basque grabs your wrist, presses a seashell to your ear. Hear that? Moon's still singing under the clouds. Little show-off. Rain turns horizontal needles, stitching the night sky shut. You recall that knot lesson, rope burns still fresh on your palms. The Basque slaps the mast, shouts a command in Euskara that translates roughly to unfuck this mess. A pressure drops, your eardrums pop, the clouds shiver, peeling back like stage curtains. Moonlight punches through, a spotlight on the Basque's triumph. He bows, a theatrical flourish learned from drunk Venetian gondoliers. Works every time. 70% of the time. The moon hangs lower now, a teardrop swollen with borrowed light. The sailor's shadow stretches abnormally long, mocking physics. Something moves in the water, a shape too angular for nature. The Basque freezes. Ah, cloud herders. Norse called them skymulgir. Basically, meteorological debt collectors. Ignore them. They hate eye contact. You hum the Phoenician chant quieter. The moon pulses in time. Scholars still whisper about Sardinian moon traps, stone spirals that allegedly caught moonlight like flypaper. No evidence, just broken pottery and awkward silence at dig sites. The Basque pulls a handkerchief embroidered with dubious constellations. Emergency woo. My ex-wife's work. Powerful stuff also gives hives. He knots it around the mast, a flapping distress signal. Clouds coagulate again, hungry and thick. The sailor sighs. Fine, you win. He removes his boot, flips it upside down. Old Canary Island's trick, upside down shoe, confuses evil spirits. Also podiatrists. Moonlight gushes free, silver drenching the deck. The Basque collapses onto a barrel, legs wobbling like fresh calamari. Victory, 51% mine, 49% your tone-deaf chanting. Math checks out. You spot the moon's face, or a trick of shadows. It seems amused. The Basque follows your gaze. Careful, she's a prankster. Ever hear of the Jakarta incident? 63 telescopes melted. Coincidence? NASA says yes. I say room temp IQ. Stars return sheepish. The Basque lights a cigarillo off the rekindled moonlight. Pro tip, never trust a constellation that winks. Learned that near Malta. Lost a good hat. A warm breeze coils around the mast. The Basque's handkerchief unravels. He watches it flutter away, a ghostly jellyfish. Good. It's hers now. Let it give someone else hives. The moon swells, its craters etching stories older than writing. Historians still debate whether ancient lunar maps were navigation aids or love letters to the dark. The Basque knows, but he's busy flicking cigar ash at a wandering jellyfish. Your throat raw, you croak a final note. The sailor grins, a flash of cracked enamel. Encore. Nah, she's free. We're not. Same old song. He tosses the burnt-out cigarillo. It plinks into the sea. Clouds linger on the horizon, jailed lightning flickering in their bellies. The Basque pats the mast tenderly for once. Rest up. Next round'll be worse. Moonlight follows you, an overeager puppy. The sailor mutters into his collar. Should have charged admission, or at least gotten a lousy t-shirt. Dawn remains hours away, the sky balanced between hostage and hero. You study the Basque's face, every wrinkle a stolen star map. he catches you looking. What? Never seen a has-been deity negotiator before. The boat creaks, agreeing with everything. A sudden gust punches the boat sideways. Gulls explode upward like confetti shot from a cannon. Their wings carve jagged symbols against the salmon-pink dawn, cuneiform for poets with vertigo. The Basque squints, his pupils contract into navigation-grade pinholes. Watch the V's. No, the angles. Ancient Assyrians decoded bird flights for omens. Got rich off pigeon stock tips. He traces the air, index finger, warping like a divining rod. The lead gull pivots, sketching a crude crown midair. You catch a wingbeat pattern, 3 flaps, glide, 2 rapid twitches. Feather semaphore. The sailor nods, chewing a thumbnail raw. Vikings used albatross down as map markers, called them feather charts. None survived, too tasty for pillow stuffing. A younger gull strays, its path distorting the formation. The Basque hisses through his teeth. Amateur, 5th century BCE Greeks would have sacrificed that one to Hermes. Quick, hand me the barley bag. You toss him a cloth sack, contents clinking like dried bones. He scatters shriveled grains across the deck, breakfast buffet distraction. Works on gulls and ex-husbands. The birds dive, forming a spiraling colonnade overhead. Their shadows stitch the sails with temporary tattoos. There, see the hook shape, means storm. The loop, unwanted gift. That squiggle. The Basque hesitates, a rare crack in his certitude. Either a crossroads or someone's aunt forgot your birthday. Scholars still debate whether Phoenicians trained gulls as messengers or just enjoyed their panicked screams. The evidence. A clay tablet reading why so many birds in Ugaritic. A gust rearranges the flock, wings now forming a lopsided infinity symbol. The sailor freezes his coastal tan, leaching to quayside concrete. Ah, that's new. He licks salt-cracked lips. Means choose wisely. Or someone chooses for you. The lead gull screeches, a fire alarm dipped in honey. Your eardrums throb in sympathy. Option 1, helm turns port, find the Cobalt Cove. Option 2, the Basque yanks a silver button from his coat, tosses it overboard. The flock swarms the sinking prize. Option 2 gets us home faster. Also unjares a minor Baltic deity. Your call. You glance at the horizon, clouds stacking like unpaid bills. The sailor follows your gaze, nodding. Smart. Blue's better than gray, though gray's more honest. He spins the helm, wood groaning like a stepped-on cat. The gulls disperse, all except one. It alights on the bowsprit, head cocked in avian judgment. The Basque offers his last barley kernel. Take it, Judas. You've earned your 30 pieces. Dawn tightens its grip, night's glue dissolving. The sailor wipes gull droppings off the compass rose. Fun fact, Cleopatra's fleet used ibis flocks as living banners. Then the birds unionized. History's first strike. Your hands stink of fish skill and prophecy. The Basque sniffs his collar, winces. We smell like a sushi chef's therapist. Gods help us if that crossroads omen was a sauna recommendation. The stubborn gull finally leaves its departure, tracing a perfect question mark. The Basque salutes the empty air. Fair enough. I'll take rhetorical questions over ex-wives any day. Waves sharpen their edges gilded by the climbing sun. You notice tiny glyphs carved into the helm, crude waves, stars, a stick figure crokin. The Basque shrugs, previous owner's diary. Dull read. Ended with wish I'd learned to swim. A slick of rainbow oil shimmers, portside the gull's button glittering far below. The sailor grunts. Enkissie's pissed. Feel that static. We'll be picking mussels from our hair by noon. The compass needle spins, hesitates, settles on a heading that wasn't there yesterday. The Basque pats the instrument, tender as a bomb diffuser. Relax, Amara. We're adventurers, not tourists. Your secrets are safe. You touch the glyphs again. The kraken seems to wink. Historians still argue whether ancient mariners feared sea monsters or envied their freedom to sink ships guilt-free. Wind fills the sails, a contented sigh. The Basque reties his bandana, knots overlapping like subway maps. Next time, you're explaining omens to the birds. I hear gull for discount vodka is all wing flutters. Salt crusts your lips, tastes like unfinished business. Somewhere ahead, a choice, a storm, a crossroads paved with gull feathers. The boat leans into its new path, hungry. The anchor chain screams like a banshee, in reverse, its iron teeth biting sand 30 feet below. You recognize the cove. Same salt-bleached rocks, same gnarled cypress tree. Bent the anchor chain's scream dies, leaving your ears ringing like cathedral bells. After midnight, you step onto sand that crunches like sugar glass beneath your boots. That cypress still hunches over the cove, its trunk twisted into a question mark by decades of sirocco winds. Waves lick your ankles, their whispers now decipherable, as they hiss trade winds shift south in November. Turns out the sea's just a gossip, with too much time and salt. The Basque sailor stands at the prow, his silhouette fraying at the edges like old sailcloth. Candle makers, he grunts, nodding toward distant village lights. Old mariners, quiet hands from years of knots and nets. Their tallow holds starlight, or so they'll tell you after 3 glasses of tea-zackily. Historians still argue whether Phoenician lighthouses burned olive oil or seal fat, but the Basque winks like a man who's smuggled both. He tosses you a pebble, its surface pocked like the moon. A Basque goodbye, earth and sea in one fist. When you blink, his boat's already unraveling, wooden planks dissolving into stardust. The mast cracks like a spine as it collapses into the constellation Cygnus, its wings swallowing the last of him. You're left clutching the rock, a paperweight for all the nights you'll replay this moment. Village lights pulse like fireflies ahead. Legends claim Atlantis sank near here, though locals say it's just mudflats at low tide. You half expect the sailor's voice to ripple from the waves, a final lesson in reading the dark. But the sea offers only its usual mantra, Hush, hush, hush. Salt crusts your lips as you whisper his star words back, Liposuria, Liposuria. A breeze snatches the pebble from your palm gently, like a thief with manners. It arcs into the surf, plinking once before sinking. You wait for a punchline, secrets of the deep revealed in bubbles. But the ocean keeps its poker face. Funny how endings feel like wet socks, uncomfortable yet mundane. The path home smells of juniper and dead fish. Your pockets sag with star maps only visible under a blacklight, or so the Basque swore. Historians still argue whether 15th century mariners hallucinated celestial patterns from malnutrition. You're just glad you packed snacks. Men's laughter spills from a tavern ahead, candles flickering in jars like captured lightning. Inside, grizzled faces turn each pair of eyes a compass needle pointing at the stranger. You order wine steeped in seaweed and regret. One man nods at your salt-stained sleeves. Heard the stars taste like Basque cider tonight. You smirk, wondering if the sailor's sipping starlight in some cosmic gutter. Later, on a creaking bed in a peeling inn, you press your ear to the wall. The sea's rhythm syncs with the snores next door, a duet of monotony. Your fingers trace constellations in the plaster cracks. Sleep comes as a slow tide, dragging you under just as the ceiling cracks start to resemble Orion's belt. Dawn finds you ankle-deep in surf again, not searching, just standing. The horizon stitches sky to sea with gold thread, a single cormorant dives, a black streak arrowed into the depths. You imagine it reaching Atlantis, serving as a messenger between drowned kings and the Basque's phantom crew. By midday, the village square smells of fried squid and diesel. A shop sells authentic sailors' luck charms, shark teeth glued to keychains. You buy two, one for your keys, one for the garbage. The clerk whispers that Beethoven composed his Ninth Symphony after a vision of a star whale. You nod like you've heard weirder, because you have. Nightfall brings a sky quilted with constellations. You name them like old friends, Draco, Cygnus, Liposuria. Your phone buzzes with a spam email earns 17% ROI on celestial real estate. You delete it, wondering if the Basque ever gets spam in the cosmic void. Probably not. He'd hack it with a fishhook and some blasphemy. The cypress tree creaks as you pass, its branches, now a skeletal hand, waving goodbye. A single green shoot sprouts from its trunk, defiant, already leaning seaward. You snap a photo, lighting a candle in your mind for whoever navigates here next. 2 days later, waiting for a bus that smells of urine and bagged spinach, you finally cry, not for the sailor legends hate pity, but for all the uncharted moments ahead. The bus window frosts over your finger, draws Polaris in the condensation. It fades before the engine starts, leaving only a smudge and the smell of diesel. Years later, you'll teach your niece to spot Cassiopeia through light pollution. She'll ask if the stars miss us too. You'll hand her a pebble from your pocket, smooth as a whale's tooth. Only when we forget to look, you'll say, The night will hum its approval, a lullaby written in an extinct tongue. The night air clings to your skin, cool as seawater evaporating from clay. Stars blur above, not twinkling now, just breathing in unison with the tide. That pebble he tossed you rests heavy in your pocket, its weight a silent promise. You've memorized every crater, every ridge that catches moonlight like a nail biting into silk. Distant tavern laughter fades, swallowed by waves chewing the shore. Your boots sink deeper into sand with each step, the earth pulling you down to listen. Salted wind parts your hair, a clumsy comb woven from gull feathers and ghost ships. Somewhere beneath your feet, Atlantis snores, its drowned bells echoing through aquifer veins. You unclench your jaw, let the breeze carry tension out to where horizons bend. Even the cypress tree stills, its gnarled spine easing into the damp embrace of dew. Tomorrow's worries wait, folded neatly, like tide charts in a locked drawer. Tonight, let the Basque star words hum through your ribs, a lullaby in a tongue older than compasses. Your eyelids dip, fluttering like moth wings against lantern glass. The bed sighs as you sink, its straw mattress cradling you like a hull cradles foam. Shadows pool at the corners of the room, ink spreading across parchment. Those sailors' maps in your pocket, they'll keep glowing faintly beneath your hip bone till dawn. A final breath, deep as the cormorants dive earlier, anchors you to this moment. Sleep rises not a wave, but a slow seep through riverbanks. The stars blur their edges, melting into the ceiling's hairline cracks. Cygnus drifts, the Basques laugh a faint echo in its wingbeats. You let go of pebbles, phantom boats, the ache for answers. The sea exhales, hush, as your thoughts dissolve into froth on a moonlit shore. Drift now anchored only to the rhythm of your own quiet blood. Dawn will come, but not yet, not yet.